I'm DJ Wheat, and we are here at LA Live, where the top 8 League of Legends teams on the planet remain, and they are ready to battle it out for $2 million and the right to call themselves the Season 2 World Champions. Ladies and gentlemen, the Season 2 World Playoffs continue right now.
Welcome, Summoners, to the Season 2 League of Legends World Playoffs, broadcast live from Los Angeles. Please welcome your casters, Freak and Rivington III. Welcome, Summoners, to the Season 2 League of Legends World Playoffs, broadcast live from Los Angeles. Please welcome your casters, Freak and Rivington III.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the League of Legends Season 2 Championship Playoffs. I'm Rivington III. With me, as always, and pretty much forever, is David Freak Turley. We're coming to you from LA Live in downtown Los Angeles as the World Playoffs continue on Day 2. We're incredibly excited to be here broadcasting internationally in over 13 different languages. Starting with the 12 best teams, only 8 remain, Freak.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal all throughout. Yesterday we had the group stage and we saw 4 teams make an early exit. And they split $150,000 between the 4 of them as prize money. But we're just getting down to fiercer and fiercer competition with better and better teams.
Hey, Freak, the better and better teams are going to be amazing for us. They're going to show us some amazing matchups over these next few days.
Yeah, we're really coming through with not only the 4 group winners, but now we've also got the 4 regional champions as well. You're adding the Taipei Assassins, Team WE, Team Solo Mid, and M5 Ben Q, who are like, hey, we're the best of our region. Hey, number 2, come step up to the big boys. Let's see if you can do it.
So, team, Freak, there are 4 new teams, new strategies, and these teams are representing all the players in their regions in some of these beautiful dream matchups this weekend.
It's going to be really interesting because you're going to have, a second Chinese team here. You're going to have the Taiwanese team here. You've got really the best American team showing up as well. So they're not only representing their region and saying, hey, here's what North America's about, here's what Europe's really about, here's what Asia's really about, and, representing their own players, but they're bringing out their own style and their own little unique tricks, their own strategies to bring out a lot of new tricks into this game.
And Freak, a culmination of a year's worth of work between all of these teams. We are here to decide which 2 will earn the privilege to battle it out of the World Finals at the Galen Center on October 13th for that $2 million prize pool.
And there is so much more money on the line. The dollar amounts just keep going up and up and up. Sure, last place got $25,000 here, but first place, if you win it all, if you keep winning, $1 million goes to the first place team. $1 million, that's a 7-digit number if you don't count cents to the first place team. It's a freaking lot of money.
And before we begin, let's take a quick look at how the World Championships work. We went over this a few times, but let's do it again. The tournament does span 4 days, and the first 3 were the playoffs, where the top 12 teams get reduced to 2 as we go through the quarters and the semifinals. Next week, these two teams battle it out at the Galen Center in the finals to determine the Season 2 World Champion. Today, 6 of the remaining 8 will battle it out in the quarterfinals. Each match is going to be a best of 3 single elimination. Mistakes can be made, but they can't be made that much. The winner immediately advancing into the semifinals, but the loser is going to be going home, but with $75,000.
Yeah, so today, again, the quarterfinals are starting, but yesterday we did see 8 amazing teams battle it out in the group stages. To recap, Group A had 2 Asian teams coming through with Azubu Frost and Invictus Gaming from Korea and China, respectively. Unfortunately, the Americans from CLG-NA and the Europeans of SK Gaming did not quite make it through. In Group B, we saw more domination and great teams overall, with Najin Sword winning in from Korea, going 3-0. Counterlogic Gaming EU making it out in 2nd place. And the unfortunate exit from Dignitas and Saigon Jokers not quite putting up enough effort to get themselves through. These were amazing games overall, though. Let's take a look at the highlights from the first day's action.
The first match of the day featured Azubu Frost, the #1 seed out of Korea, against Invictus Gaming, the second-ranked team from China. Right out of the gates, both teams displayed heavy aggression, and after picking up first blood, Invictus held the lead for most of the early game. Azubu Frost responded by stealing Baron at 23 minutes and used that momentum to push their way to the first win of the day. Up next for Invictus Gaming was fan favorite CLG Prime. Invictus came out strong, picking up first blood for the second game in a row, this time catching double lift out of position. Not wanting to go down 0-2 early in the group stage, Invictus steamrolled CLG to keep themselves in the hunt for a spot in the quarterfinals. Europe's SK Gaming was up next to take on Azubu Frost. But SK was no match for the champions from Korea. Azubu Frost completely outclassed SK, winning by 10 kills, nearly 20,000 gold, and didn't give up a tower the entire game. The win moved Azubu Frost to 2-0, making them a near shoo-in for the quarterfinals. Two teams that were struggling to make the next round, SK Gaming and CLG Prime, squared off, with each team looking for their first win of the day. CLG came out with a triple teleport split push strategy that they've become very well known for. It was a back and forth match that led to a photo finish where CLG Prime completely surprised SK Gaming. CLG tried to build off of that momentum and even secured first blood in their next game against Azubu Frost, but the Korean team showed why they were unbeaten on the day. They dominated CLG early and never let up. They would secure the victory and their place atop the Group A standings. SK went into the last game of Group A with their tournament lives on the line against Invictus. But it wasn't meant to be for SK, as Invictus' hard initiate comp allowed them to tower dive over and over, eventually leading to a win and a berth into the quarterfinals. The first game in Group B was a matchup of Team Dignitas versus CLG EU, two teams who, surprisingly, have never faced each other at a live event. Dignitas came out with an old-school roaming Taric strategy that allowed them to secure first blood. But despite the pressure from this strategy, CLG was just too good. They overwhelmed Dignitas to pick up the first win in Group B. The next game featured the Saigon Jokers, a surprise qualifier from Vietnam, facing off against MacNoon's Najin Sword, the second seed from Korea. And MacNoon was unstoppable. Well, almost. Najin Sword's next game would prove tougher as they went up against CLG Europe. It would also highlight MacNoon versus Wicked, two of the best top laners in the game. Wicked got the upper hand early, resulting in an 0-2 start for MacNoon. But it's hard to keep MacNoon down, and that was clear after he teleported solo into 4 CLG members to secure an inhibitor. His play lifted Najin Sword to their second win in a row. Dignitas, looking for their first win of the group, ran into the aggressive Saigon Jokers. The Jokers made a plan to bully Skara, and they beat him into the ground. Dignitas was never able to respond, and the Saigon Jokers Archie would finish them off with a quadra kill. The win kept the Saigon Jokers' hopes alive, and unfortunately for Dignitas, it meant they were out of the tournament. In perhaps the most important game of CLGU's career, they needed a win against the Saigon Jokers in order to secure their spot in the quarterfinals. The action in the top lane was intense. Led by Wicked, CLGEU put massive pressure on Saigon's QTV, and just when it looked like Saigon had an answer, Froggen was there to clean up.
Nice!
Froggen also manufactured an otherworldly farming performance on Karthus by killing 396 minions at the end of the 29-minute game. The Saigon Jokers put up a valiant effort, but their Cinderella story came to an end when CLGEU pushed their way to victory. CLG now joins Najin Sword as the second team advancing out of Group B. In the last game of the day, Dignitas was playing for pride, trying to avoid an 0-3 finish. But the night belonged to MacNoon and Najin Sword, who denied Dignitas a group stage win. At the end of group play, quarterfinal matchups were drawn live on stage. From Group A, Invictus Gaming drew Moscow 5, while Azubu Frost picked Team Solo Mid. From Group B, CLG drew World Elite, and Naji and Sword will face off against the Taipei Assassins.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We are here and we are ready to kick off this tournament. We have tons of action in store for you today. Let's go to the main stage where our hosts are eagerly waiting to kick off the second day of the Season 2 World Championships.
What is up, Summoners? You guys ready for today? I'm Marcus Graham, aka DJ Wheat.
And I'm Rachel Seltzer-Querico. Yesterday, we witnessed some of the best League of Legends games ever played. That is until today, because we have 3 amazing matchups lined up for you guys.
That's right. Coming up first, China's Invictus Gaming emerges from the Group A stage to take on EU's dominant #1 seed. That, of course, being Russia's Moscow 5. Now, there is a lot of really interesting storyline that intertwines in this matchup itself. You talk about the Chinese team, Invictus Gaming, and the fact that hopes and expectations of millions of Chinese League of Legends fans pretty much rests on this team's shoulders. So you can imagine just how excited they are to see this team featured on the stage live here at LA Live. However, we got one IG fan over here. However, the other really interesting part of this storyline is, of course, Moscow 5. They've pretty much existed and competed and been very successful in almost a little bubble inside their own regions. And now they get to test all of their strategies, all of their play styles right here on foreign soil for the first time. So, we can talk about this matchup all day long, but let's go ahead and introduce these teams and kick off with day 2 of the World Playoffs. Ladies and gentlemen, they came out of Group A with a 2-1 record, starting as the red team from China. Let's give it up for Invictus Gaming! In the top lane, give it up for PDD!
At AP carry, it's Zzitai.
In the jungle, give it up for Illusion!
Playing support, we have XiaoXiao.
And last but not least, at AD carry, it's Kid! Let's hear it one more time for Invictus Gaming!
And now, starting as the blue team, they won the EU regionals in a dominant fashion, and they are a favorite to take home the Season 2 championships. Please welcome M5 BenQ! Starting things off in top lane, it's Darien!
In the jungle for M5, give it up for Diamondprox!
At AP carry, you know him, he's Alex!
The AD carry, it's Genja!
And as support, we have Gosu Pepper! Let's hear it one more time for Ben QM5!
Both teams look like they are ready to go. I have a feeling that you guys are just as pumped up for these matches as the teams are. Let's shoot it over to our casters. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Rib and Freak.
All right, guys, thanks from the stage. All these games today are going to be absolutely fantastic, but I'm particularly excited about this matchup coming up, Freak. It's going to be a matchup of the firsts.
This is really the first time both of these teams are playing on foreign soil, and it's the first time they're playing each other either. These guys have not squared off against each other ever before. These guys have not played in America ever before. I guess if you count yesterday for Invictus, they've got that. But overall, these guys are really coming out and proving themselves against each other for the first time. It's so hard to call. You can't really make any predictions here.
So before we analyze the keys to the match and we get into all that, we had a chance to sit down with both of these teams and get their impressions about facing off in the quarterfinals. So let's see what they had to say.
最不想遇到 M5，但是以我们自己的就是心里想的话，其实我们很想碰 M5的，因为我就是始终要能这么快跟世界就是顶级战队一战。
They are top Chinese team. They did some interesting moves. They play really aggressive. That are the advantages. Still, we feel pretty confident, so we will do our best. The strategy is that it is one of the top teams, and we will only meet them if everything goes perfect from our side and from their side only in finals. We should not do mistakes and play our best. It's play your best and you win in this game.
And there you have it, Freak. Moscow 5 BenQ looked unstoppable at the EU Regionals, and I think everybody thought so as well. So let's take a look at what Invictus has to do to take them down, that aggression, that innovation of the strats. And really, it's to get ahead early.
And that's really what they've been trying to do this whole tournament. They got, first blood, I think, in most of their matches. Even against such a heavy favorite like a Zzitai Frost, they started out with a bunch of crazy gimmicks to get themselves first blood and a lot of early leads. I think that's really, really where their power lies, is just starting things off on the right foot, crushing from minute one, and then not letting up.
All right, and if they can do that, or if it falters, we saw it yesterday playing absolutely amazing at Quadra-Kill in the highlight video. They just need to play around Kid.
Kid is phenomenal. He is seemingly their best player, at least right now. It's kind of how this works, really, when you get to a LAN tournament, is all of your players could be on equal footing and they could all be equally skilled, but someone always steps up to the plate when it matters the most. There's that guy who's just clutch and just says, hey, guys, this is my tournament. I'm going to put you all on my back. I'll 1v9. It's cool. Let's just do this. And right now, this is Kid. They've set up Kid for a lot of kills. It's a lot of how Invictus has gotten so far, is that man has been just putting on a gigantic backpack, putting everyone inside of it, and just running around hiking with his team. And they've got to rely on him here.
And starting it off, really bringing it to us with that Jana Shyvana roam. They need to be aware of that Moscow 5 BenQ roam.
Yeah, Moscow 5's really big strategy overall is going around as a team and being super aggressive in very focused points and sort of orchestrating their early mid-game aggression as a strategy instead of sort of as sort of a counteraction. They're intending to put pressure on certain places at certain times, and they've got to be ready for that. They've seen a lot of matches of M5 BenQ. Invictus does know the types of strategies they run, the types of champions they like to pick. There's a lot of tape for them to watch. They need to be prepared for all of these moves.
It's going to be big. So those are the keys for Invictus Gaming. And now Moscow 5 playing their first game of the weekend here, the championship playoffs. Let's see what they have to do to get themselves into this. The first thing is, with that early aggression coming from Invictus, Moscow 5 is very good at team fights. So if they can get to force those, it'll be very advantageous.
This is the #1 thing that Moscow 5 is great at. There's a lot of teams that are hailed for great team fight synergy, a lot of the Korean teams, CLG EU as well, but M5 BenQ are phenomenal team fighters themselves as well. Now, when they're up against a team like Invictus, their early aggression is really strong, and M5 in general as a team are very good at opening a lot of early aggression themselves, but their team fighting is always so flawless. Their cohesion as a unit, they haven't had a roster swap since Season 2 really started, so they've got each other's play styles memorized. They know how to play around each other. Their team fighting is always going to be impeccable here, and they need to play to that strength.
And the second key for Moscow 5 is not necessarily be aggressive, but stay on the offensive. Be sure of those wards and really focus on the objectives as well.
We've seen this throughout the tournament so far, is that, aggressive teams on both sides will keep picking up kills. When you go back to the very first game of Invictus versus Frost, it wasn't Frost saying, oh crap, you're aggressive, we'll play defensive and defend turrets and then team fight in the end. No, they were trading kills back and forth. Frost was setting up ganks constantly, and they just kept racking up kills on both sides. That made the early game equal overall, and then Frost won in team fights. They need to do the exact same here as M5 BenQ. They're going to get ganked, and they're going to take some damage, and they're going to lose some kills once in a while, but they need to set up their own fights and turn those back every single time and just keep that score moving upward.
And as you just made mention to, Freak, getting ganked, they need to be ready for that counter gank, or two counter ganks.
Exactly. Diamond needs to be on his A game right now and realize that Illusion's going to dive some turrets and set up a lot of kills. He needs to be ready for that one and show up to help his team out. It's kind of what we talked about in the first game as well, where they're going to try to set up these 3v2s on turrets or 2v1s on turrets, and if Diamond shows up and makes that a 3v3 or a 2v2, M5 BenQ is going to do great. So as long as they're watchful, put on a bunch of aggression, react to the moves that Invictus makes, they're going to be okay.
All right, guys, so we've told you what we think these teams have to do to win, but we want to hear from you. Send us your questions about today's matchups of the Season 2 World Playoffs on Twitter using the hashtag LOLWorlds, and we'll take some of your questions and answer them later live on the air.
So, guys, this is just an amazing match. And we know Moscow 5 BenQ are coming in as his huge favorite. Invictus in their interview said, we're a little bit worried. We didn't really want to draw them, but at the same time, it's nice to get that experience and play such a phenomenal team. And, you see Alex from M5 saying, yeah, we're the favorite. If we just play our game properly, we're probably just going to win. And sure, a lot of that's true. They're a very heavy favorite. They're a very, very strong team. But even still, there's a lot of skill on both these sides. I just cannot call it. I would have thought at the beginning, yeah, M5 looks really strong, but you don't really know there. They're unproven in America, and Invictus looked really, really good yesterday.
Freak, when we were getting here, there's computers set up for the players all around, and Moscow 5 was one of the teams that always be at the computers. Even though they weren't playing until this day, figuring out and not even knowing who they were going to play against until the picks, we really just saw that they were always dedicated to training and practicing when other teams are going out to eat and discuss. So we'll see if that comes into play here. We're now into champion select. As you can see, Maokai and Alistair thrown out there. A little focus on the jungle as well as that support. Gragas and Nunu as well to try and cut out some of those compositions that could be created.
This is really both these teams doing a lot of homework and recognizing what the other team does and also kind of banning for themselves as well. So M5, they're dropping out a lot of those support-oriented junglers because their real goal with Diamond is to have him counter jungle and fight. Things like Shyvana, Lee Sin, and Udyr, who are going to put out a lot of aggressive early on by fighting and punching people in the face. Those are the kind of champions he likes to play. Those are the ones he does best. And IG, that's what I thought they were going to go for after they banned that Gragas, the Nunu, then the Sona ban. Those are the two supports pretty much that Gosu Pepper plays all the time. Those are his top two supports. They're dropping both those out. The crowd cheering because they know Diamond is famous for that Lee Sin. He's going to be putting out a lot of aggression in this game.
Does look like he has that pick, so we will see an aggressive game from Moscow 5. You usually see Diamond in the bottom lane quite early with this Lee Sin. If you can see a fast red, they are in the blue team, Freak, so that really plays to their advantage. The Shen being picked up, and we've just seen him really wreaking havoc this entire tournament, especially on Mac Team.
Yeah, Shen's been phenomenal all game, really, and actually looks like they've instantly locked in York, so that will be a jungle Shen. And I'm a little bit surprised by that because, you just referenced Mach Noonan. Yeah, he was playing top lane Shen and being very dominant there. But we've seen more often than not this tournament, actually, Shen's been in the jungle, which is very contrary to what happened at the North American regionals where I think he was every single time top lane. So these teams are really choosing different applications for these champions and really creating a lot of different strategies here. Now we're looking at a possible Zyra for the first time in this tournament. And so these teams, right off the bat, are bringing out things that we don't normally see in other regions or haven't seen even in this tournament just yet as these guys go through. So to recap some of these picks right here, right, Darien's going to be most likely jungling on Lee Sin. He's very, very mobile, very aggressive, picks up kills a lot, great at fighting. The two pickups for Invictus Gaming. Now, we've seen Shen a few times. He's a very beefy tank. He's supportive. He teleports around the map to his teammates and provides them shields. So he's very tanky. He makes his teammates tanky. He makes those fights go very well. The Yorick grab is a total just jerk of a laner. He bullies people. And there it is, the crowd cheering. Evelynn finally getting picked up in this tournament. She was banned a number of times, was banned 100% of the time against Naji's sword. And they're like, no, Eve is going in here. She's going to be an AP carry in mid. She's really, really a heavy assassin. Expect her to go Death by her grasp and blow up someone on the back line. The difficulty, though, is she's actually against both Shen and Yorick. So, you know, when she tries to burst someone down, if that guy gets a Shen shield in time, it's going to completely screw over her damage output. That guy will likely survive the burst. And similarly with Yorick, even if you kill that champion, if he ults your friend, that guy's going to revive and fight again for a short time. And so as far as team fights go, I actually like Invictus' lineup here for a team fight, although if M5 plays more of an assassin-based gameplay with XiaoXiao on Evelynn, they're going to be able to pick up those kills and then retreat and then come back in later. I don't quite know how it's going to play out, but there's a lot of damage being built up so far.
So Diamondprox gets his Lee Sin, but Kid also getting Ezreal. Cassiopeia also seeing a lot of playtime in the tournament.
Yeah, Cassiopeia's been really, really popular. Normally picked as really a pusher or anti-pusher. She has really great area of effect and shuts down a lot of options there when the opposing team tries to jump in. Also, she's a very defensive mage. That ultimate petrifying gaze, it works best when they're coming at you because it stuns you when you're facing her, and generally that happens when you're trying to fight as opposed to trying to run away. So it's interesting that they're doing that, but there's also a really strong combo here with Cassiopeia Yorick. Cassiopeia, much like Karthus, has extremely high damage output, especially later on when she scales with ability power. The weakness, though, is that unlike Karthus, when Cassiopeia dies, she actually dies and is removed from the map until she respawns. Unless, of course, you have Yorick on your team. And his ultimate, as we mentioned a few seconds ago, will kind of clone your champion. If you die, you'll actually get revived and fight again for a few more seconds. And so when you're a high damage mage like Cassiopeia, you die, you come back anyway and keep fighting. It's very difficult to deal with. So there is a lot of late game power here on Invictus, but at the same time, M5 is also picking up a lot of power for themselves.
Yeah, and that pick actually on Yorick, as you were just speaking, those lock-ins of Xin and Zyra, every time that Yorick is available, IG has taken him when it's not banned. Xin and Zyra being picked out here. It could be the jungle Eve, or we're going to see a swap around here from Moscow 5. It's really untellable.
I think it's support Zyra, actually.
Right.
And Janook is so happy right now, because that's the only champion he can play. Sorry, just my friend. Anyway, yeah, we've got the game going underway very, very soon. Moscow 5's lineup is really, really interesting because it is a lot of crowd control, a lot of area control, and it's just like, okay, so it's going to be Kog'Maw on the back line killing people, and then everyone else just kind of get in the way and deal with all the other threats. This is going to be pretty interesting. Lee Sin's going to be very aggressive, going to move around the map, make a lot of moves. Evelynn can move around the map and set up a lot of ganks as well. So right off the bat, that early mid game for Moscow 5 is really, really strong. Lee Sin, again, Lee Sin and Evelynn together are going to make a lot of moves. It'll be very, very difficult to deal with that. And then just at the end of the game, they've still got Zyra, who will eventually get fed no matter what. She'll just accrue gold and then scale really well throughout the game. And of course, they've got Kog'Maw, who is really the king of late game AD carries. That once he finally gets his items going, he's got long range, a lot of damage output that scales throughout the game, and just is going to just melt people as a piece of artillery. It's going to be really scary to deal with an endgame Kog'Maw. If you see that game go to 35 or 40 minutes, watch for Kog'Maw to be really the focus of attention for both teams. We've seen Invictus play very dive-heavy strategies over and over again where they will try to jump onto a single carry. This time they don't actually have that. Yes, they've got Leona. She can set up those situations. Shen can kind of dive in and put in some damage, but because they have that top lane Yorick, and because their mid lane is Cassiopeia, they don't really have that same burst potential that we saw.
Right.
When you had like Malphite and Leona together, or Nocturne and Leona together, where they will absolutely dive that one champion. So Kog'Maw, I feel, is going to be pretty safe in this lineup. Actually, outside the laning phase being a bit tricky, having to fight against Leona Ezreal, if you can survive that laning phase, Genja's going to do really, really well on Kog'Maw this game.
It's going to be great for them bottom. They do have the crowd control to help Kog'Maw get out. A little bit squishy, so he's going to have to use that Void Ooze, get himself out of the lane. Zyra's going to be able to put out a lot more damage than the regular support, though, so that'll be a great bottom lane for them. The Xin pickup is great. More crowd control. You'll see him coming out of nowhere, possibly. Also, Lee Sin as well. The entire kill team all around the map. And still, as they switch, looks like Diamond is taking that. XiaoXiao is going to be on Eve for that mid-AP burst, as you were saying, the Deathfire grasp into that back line. And they just have a team that is going to be complete dive buddies here.
Yeah, this is really the inverse of IG's lineup, where it's like, guys, let's team fight. We've got defense, we've got Petrifying Gaze and shields and revives, and Ezreal super safe in general. So, yeah, IG's lineup is all about surviving and just having a nice grand 5-on-5 team fight and just, going about their way, killing things, which is great. M5's is like literally just about killing things. Everyone on that lineup is full out offense. It is just like destroy champions over and over. And this is interesting because I don't see this type of lineup very often. I don't see constant all-in champions from literally everyone. I mean, even Leona is like a little bit all in, but like has some tankiness in her kit. Kind of initiates fights with the crowd control. Not so much with M5. There's almost no dedicated crowd control with this lineup. You've got a knock-up kind of conditional from Xinjia. You've got a knockback that's kind of conditional as well. Lee Sin's got his dragon kicks. Like there's technically crowd control here on Moscow 5, but not something like Dazzle or Solar Flare or Unstoppable Force where they like lock up targets. It's like a bunch of pushbacks and like temporary crowd controls, and it's just damage everywhere. And if it's enough to completely overpower Shen and York, then great, it's going to work out for M5. I think they have a lot of front-loader damage output, and again, if they can't deal with Kog'Maw, which actually seems unlikely, that after the burst is done, they've still got Xin Zhao and a little bit of Zyra, depending on her gold, and definitely Kog'Maw, just pumping out even more pain there. And yeah, I think, as it sort of plays out towards the mid and end game, M5 just has the damage up that they need to just keep killing things overall. I think their lineup is really, really strong. IG's is very standard. It's very safe. It'll work overall. But the 5 kill people champions for M5, that's actually really, really good too.
So, Freak, both of these teams being very aggressive, but with what they're bringing to the table with no sustain and everybody having to focus very early on their own spell vamp or lifesteal, how do you think that's going to affect the early game with those purchases having to come through?
It's going to be a little bit interesting here. XiaoXiao is going to take some pain overall in his matchup because he's against a ranged champion. He will take some poke from Cassiopeia. Eve vs. Cass is not the best match overall, but we're going to find out what is going to happen in this game. Guys, are you ready for Game 1 of the quarterfinals?
The teams have made the selections and are about to start Day 2 of the Season 2 Championships, ladies and gentlemen. They're pumped. We're ready to get into this game. The teams are set. Moscow 5, BenQ starting as the blue team, Invictus Gaming as the purple team, and we are now into the matchup. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to see Invictus Gaming take Game 1 of this best of 3, let me hear you for IG.
And as we get ourselves into the game, I want to gauge who's a fan here of M5 BenQ.
The other teams are poised and ready, as you see on your screen. And we are going to jump into this early game laning phase here, ladies and gentlemen. 30 seconds on the clock. Nobody's really pushing each other out of any jungles. XiaoXiao, however, roaming around here. The ward goes down, so they won't get the invade up top. But that's huge vision for Alex. They're going to be able to inform their team about that right away.
So let's see what happens here, right? So the ward goes down. It's been pinged. And really, both of these teams are setting up pretty safely on the map. You can see them kind of standing around an early ward there from Invictus, looking for an early invade from M5. But overall, they're just looking and kind of being very, very watchful of invades. No one's grouping up to make any major moves. Now, a minute in, that's when you would see a team probably group up they wanted for an invade. And look at that. With Shen up towards the top, everyone else from IG is actually grouping up near the bottom half of the map. They're moving in down towards this brush. Oh, and another ward comes down. They definitely want to put a bit of pressure down here and really spot out what might be happening. They're warding a lot. They're really, really looking for invades. They kind of went down actually as safety in numbers. I think actually just to put the ward down safely. Looks like Invictus really don't want to go for any kind of a cheeky push, so they're pretty safe. And wow, XiaoXiao is actually in that brush that was used earlier in that first game against Frost that they kind of jumped over to. So he definitely did his research as well.
Yeah, everybody has been watching. We see that XiaoXiao taking out 6 wards and the potion for himself, so he's really trying to get this early game for his team and not allow them to open that early aggression up. 2 minutes up here. It looks like they may do a switch or just a hard pull for Shen here and teleport down to that bottom lane. However, it looks like they're going to stay. Kid is heading towards that tri-bush, so they do have the swap coming out, and we're going to have Yorick with a blue buff against Kog'Maw and the support Zyra bottom.
And this is a strategy they've tried multiple times, and it has always worked. Now, if you look back to the EU regionals, Kevin actually screwed up this pull, but I think PDD is going to be okay here, just tanking it up, dealing as much damage as possible. Now, he didn't run teleport, though, so he's going to take a little bit of wasted time as he gets himself back into the lane, stuck in a 1-on-2.
Here's the roam. The flashes go off, and the Zenith Blade just missing by a hair. A very early gank coming from Invictus.
This is really, really strong overall from Invictus, though. Okay, the gank didn't really work so well, but that's not the worst thing in the world. What they've got, though, is a really strong 2-on-1 and 1-on-2 lane here. Kid and XiaoXiao should be able to completely shut down Darien. Xinjiao does not have tools. He hasn't even learned his first skill yet because he doesn't even know what kind of fight he's going to get into. But he's going to have a very, very tough time in this top lane. Whereas York with the Golem buff, really not the end of the world. Now, it does mean that Genja gets a completely free lane, so they're not going to be able to shut down Kog'Maw. you know, Ezreal and Leona together should be able to put a lot of damage off onto a lane like that. But even still, shutting down Darien is just as important as shutting down Genja, and they're going to be able to do this here.
Looks like Darien now still playing aggressive without that flash up top. And they do see that in the jungle. However, here is the counter gank. That point to victory that they need to work on, and they're going to get it right here, but it's a 3v2. There's a lot of crowd control to come in, and they see Darien coming from the backside. So much damage on the Moscow. Fine! First blood going to Illusion with the assists to the AD and support.
That was actually pretty unfortunate there, right as Diamond showed up. I think he expected Illusion to be nearby. He was waiting in the background, really timing that. But the thing is, once he's safeguarded over, they just both got hit by Shadow Dash. He was really unable to counterattack the entire time and wasn't able to force Kid to stop swinging. So a lot of damage coming out there. And Illusion, yeah, that first blood really, really good. Now, M5 are making some moves themselves, but you've got to realize that they're actually pushing very, very hard onto PDD and that bottom turret. Genja no longer with turret aggro, should be able to put out a lot of damage. He's actually swinging for minions instead of the turret, though. Looks like M5 actually not trying for an early turret kill. This actually plays actually a turret
Invictus
dive
super
again.
pushing top lane. The full minion wave is there, but Leona took too much damage off the bat. I don't think they're going to be able to continue with this.
Nice move up by Darien, though. He bought a lot of time, and oh, wow. He got an early red elixir there as well, so he can spike his health back up just in case something tricky happens to him.
Again, PDD being pushed out bottom with that blue buff. He's able to help himself. They are 700 gold in the lead from that first blood, and the assists tagged onto that. Illusion returning to his jungle. He has not gone back to buy yet, but he does have a good amount of money under his belt. Right now, the most in the game, 927 gold to himself as the jungler. That's really going to help his presence in lane once he goes through these camps, and then he's really just going to be able to forget about the camps for a little bit and use that time to help out the lanes a lot more.
Yeah, I do expect to see these junglers ganking very constantly throughout this game. This plays really to their overall play style. York, though, kind of going back into the jungle, though, kind of unsafe in his lane. I don't know if he Spidey sensed Diamond being around, but he did retreat. His mid lane actually is pretty difficult for Alex East. This is really what happens, though. You know, like I said, the Cassiopeia, a bit of a counter pick. Diving in on the turret, Ignite is on as well. This could be enough. It is! Zzitai picking up the second kill of the match. Like I said, that lane is a bit of a mismatch there. That Cassiopeia was grabbed, I'm pretty sure, as a counter pick to Evelynn, knowing that melee champions have a very tough time dealing with Cassiopeia.
Initiation onto Darien top once again to force him out of lane. No kill there, but he is having such a hard time. Top 12 to PDD's 22, and he's forced to buy that red elixir. The gold just going to situational events that haven't even happened yet.
And Illusion is flanking around from the jungle as well. Diamond, once again, he's ready for it. Look at that foresight, and he finds Illusion there coming in on the turret.
Here's that counter gank. Once again, a beautiful shot. Leona getting herself out of range of the turret, but Kid is under it. Good micro back and forth, and Diamond is forced out once again.
But that was really the move they needed to make, though. Yeah, Diamond took some damage, but it was going to be a 3-on-1 at the turret otherwise. Now, maybe if he didn't get spotted, they could try to force something and let the turret fight the entire time, but even still, not letting those turret dives work against Darien is really advantageous because the minion wave is pushing down a little bit. Darien is going to get a bit more time to farm. He's finally at 16 minions, which isn't the end of the world, though obviously not exactly optimal. He's still going to get to scale up through this game, and one thankful thing about Xinjiao is that he does scale great with levels, and the fact that he's not getting completely forced out of lane means he will still gain experience and eventually catch up in this game, even if he doesn't quite get a lot of items.
Looks like Lee Sin's Diamondprox is going to be going, pushing mid a little bit. He's going to be going for that Wriggles. They're a little objective focused here, trying to get that armor in. As he sees, there's just so much damage coming from top lane, and that's where he's going to have to help. He does not need to work with bottom lane right now. That Zyra Kog'Maw can push very well. Top lane still pushing. They're almost equal on bottom and top here, just 75% of that push. Kid and XiaoXiao just looking to go back here. Let's see how much money they have under their belt. It is going to be 1,500 gold right now for Kid. We'll see what he gets. He can get a really good burst of damage coming out of that after his buy.
It's likely that he's going to go for Trinity Force, especially that Phage early on. It's one of those items you pick up to try to shut down a lane when you're kind of ahead a little bit, because those extra slows coming out from the item will really help you pick down an opponent. Diamond making his second rotation through the jungle just now, and that's going to be matched, of course, by PDD running off the Golem buff as well. But as they clear out the jungle camps here and try to get their buffs back, expect the junglers to re-aggress here. Diamond with the fresh Blizzard buff, Illusion the same for himself. You're going to see them make their ways back to the side lanes for more damage.
Shen once again picking up his red. We'll probably see Illusion top, but the warding now quite heavy. They're going to go down in about 30 seconds in that top lane, so he may be able to walk past those after they go down. They know that Alex is kind of wandering around here. And they start to look very cautiously. They're only going to see him when he gets slightly in range. And we can also see Kid and XiaoXiao trying to make a move to help out there.
Yeah, so Alex is going for the golem buff right here. He's getting that golem buff for himself finally. That will allow him to finally start pushing the minion wave out. And now that Evelynn has finally leveled up a bit, she's got rank 4 in Hate Strike. This will, or Hate Spike rather. This will allow her to shove the minions around and then finally start roaming. You really want to hit level 6 first before you ever make these moves as Eve. That gives you all the burst damage you want. But you can see Alex now being pushed down to his turret. He's going to have to just try to last hit here pretty successfully, actually, under the turret. Get his gold back up. He's still, though, getting zoned by Cassiopeia. Look at that. She denied all 3 ranged minions by saying, if you walk up to this, you're going to take way too much burst. Would be in range for Petrifying Gaze. Alex knew this and had to completely back off and miss minion kills. This lane matchup still very, very difficult. Genja, though, still in that 2-on-1 is not taking any pressure. You can see 69 minions on him, getting a lot of farm, completely ahead of Kids Ezreal here. It's going to be the Genja show this game because no one else is having a great game yet on Moscow 5.
Oh, coming into the bush, Evelynn goes right onto Zzitai. XiaoXiao forced to run out of that one, but you saw him do half health freak, and with that amount of damage, looks like they're going to try to pressure the dragon here. True Shot Barrage coming down right through. Diamondprox quickly gets the dragon, safeguards to a ward, and keeps himself alive. Beautifully played there. 9 minutes and 20 seconds in the game. Now, Freak, we see this matchup between Evelynn and Cassiopeia in mid, where Evelynn just taking so much damage every engage. But is there a point in the game where that's going to turn the tide and she's just going to be able to outburst Cassiopeia?
It's going to depend a lot on gold. Typically, though, Evelynn, yes, is a great burst assassin, and really, I would consider assassins to be one of the banes of Cassiopeia, is that, she will try to itemize some durability, but still does not have any major escape tools, compared to something like Ahri or Gragas who can disengage very safely. So Cassiopeia will be subject to a lot of pressure as mid-game rolls around. But like I said, Cassiopeia likes to buy a little bit of durability. Rod of Ages and Abyssal Scepter are likely purchases here, and so you'll see her get a little bit more safe. The Chalice really the first item she's grabbed out. It's going to give her some magic resist. That's the type of stat she needs to survive fighting Evelynn. Now Alex, I think he's going to start his roam game. No, actually, he's just going to recall. I'm wrong. His ultimate, though, up in 20 seconds. Whenever that's up, he wants to try to make a move with that. And actually, he might make a move with Diamond here.
They do close in on Diamond. He goes for the Asthma, and he comes around the corner, playing that Fog of War to his advantage. A great flash by Zzitai as he puts himself quite distance from both Alex and Diamond. Doesn't get himself any of those wraiths as they were gone. He almost found himself in trouble. 10 minutes into the game, Invictus Gaming with about 1,000, just under 1,000 gold lead, I should say. And there's been a lot of aggression that's kind of stopped. They really haven't seen too much lately.
They haven't tower dove really in a long time, and I'm kind of surprised at that because they have Illusion, who's going to be so very tanky and can really set up his team for successful tower dives by giving someone a shield. And really, that's going to be always a really good case here for Invictus because when you just compare junglers, Lee Sin to Shen, one of these guys is so much better at diving turrets because one of these guys is a global ultimate and can react to those kind of situations. I don't expect to see actually Moscow 5 go for any dives themselves because of that Shen, because of that Stand United, but I do really expect Invictus to go for something here. I don't think their late game is going to be all that wonderful because they have to deal with a completely safe farming Kog'Maw. He's now got 86. He's the highest on his team. Sure, Cassiopeia's a bit richer thanks to that gold, but it's still really scary though. Kog'Maw's going to keep scaling.
Evelynn just on the backside of Darien. XiaoXiao throws off the ultimate. XiaoXiao tries to do Solar Flare. They're keen to continue to chase onto Darien, but Diamondprox come in to try to save the fight. Beautiful chase by XiaoXiao, and now it's just Kid and Illusion to run. They are just trying to get back to the turret. The pursuit is on. Nobody is really out coming to this fight. Zzitai is trying to make his way upriver through Baron. Illusion goes down, but Zzitai will not make it in time. Kid does make it out alive. 2-2 is the score now.
Really nice job. That is exactly the kind of gameplay that M5 BenQ wanted there, was putting their jungler and their mid lane together and getting XiaoXiao to roam. He does like to put that pressure on. He is a roaming mid laner, and that is the kind of move he needs to make over and over to get his lanes back in. Darien with an assist and finally some pressure relief so he can last hit some minions is going to really help him. He's going to be one of those big frontline champions. And when you look at M5's lineup, they've got double bruiser and no major tank. So between Lee Sin and Xin Zhao, they could get melted by Kids Ezreal. If you don't buy any major durability items, an AD carry will completely outscale you and really, really ruin your day. So M5 either needs to rely on their bruisers getting farmed enough to become tanks based on levels and sort of minor tanky items, or to get farmed enough that they can one-shot Ezreal in a burst combo and not deal with it at all. But M5 is going to need one of those two avenues to be able to deal with Kid.
True Shot Barrage coming out, just trying to push down the lane as it looks like they're going to try and get it back here. Looking at Ezreal's pockets, he does have 1,000 gold there, an assist under his belt. but it's going to be to 107 minions on Kog'Maw. He was trying to finish a little bit of attack speed first. Looks like he could go for Zeal, throwing out that Brawler's Glove right away.
Yeah, it's basically the build you see on Kog'Maw is that, where a lot of attack... It's actually really interesting, though. These attack damage carries scale off of different items. So someone like Graves or Caitlyn or Ashe is going to deal mostly with basic attacks, or even base ability damages will go for like an Infinity Edge or a Bloodthirster. Something like Kog'Maw is actually more worried about that Bio Arcane Barrage, that second ability that grants him bonus range and makes him deal a percentage of his target's max health as bonus damage. So he scales really, really hard with attack speed. He just wants to put more attacks down. That ability will scale for itself, so he'll rush something like Phantom Dancer to grant him that attack speed, and then continue on with things like Infinity Edge and Last Whisper, and then transition to a more standard AD carry. Meanwhile, you're seeing Ezreal, who actually has his own unique skill set where he actually is able to apply abilities very often, and so buying a Trinity Force or Sheen, the Sheen he has right now, means that every ability he casts, he's going to deal bonus damage to the next attack, and he's going to be able to keep triggering that with Mystic Shot and keep that source of bonus damage. So these different items working in different ways with these champions based on what their abilities are. It's just kind of cool to see that they're going to have differing builds, and it just means that their playstyles are always going to differ here in fights.
We see Diamond moving down towards the bottom bushes, and it looks like he may try to get that forward bush push down on the bottom lane, but he just heads towards top, goes for his golems. You see Kid going back for the golems as well as they push that lane out. He doesn't feel safe. Leona did go back. The supports just grabbing up gold generation items right now. Damage mitigation in the magic resistance department down there for Zyra. Gosu knows he needs to be a little bit more aggressive on the support, so he's going to try to get into the fight more and make himself tanky as well. Support's usually helping out with those area of effect abilities for their teams. But we're going to see, like you said, Freak, a complete kill team. These guys are going to scale very hard, and in that aspect, who do you see having this late game?
The late game, I still think it might be the Kog'Maw story. I just overall like M5's lineup because they've got the burst damage to deal with Ezreal. Even though they can clone it, I still think it's pretty strong. They can kind of run in, one-shot someone, and then try to disengage, and then fight a 5-on-4 afterwards. And the entire time they're backed up by what I think is going to be a very, very safe Kog'Maw. I don't see the answer for Genja here. He's going to keep scaling, and that really is the ultimate reason why I like M5 BenQ's late game.
So we see 0 turrets down across the map. Dragon being done once again. It goes again as well. 2 on Moscow 5 BenQ. Diamondprox being very good with the timer on that, but the engage happens. Solar Flare goes out. Gosu Pepper goes down, but he gets his ultimate off. So that's going to help out a little bit for these guys as they push down. Moscow 5 just melting under the pressure right now. Too much damage is coming out. Diamondprox being chased. Genja cannot get under the turret. They will probably get both of them. It looks like Genja just got far enough away, but the chase is too strong from Kid. Nobody goes down for Invictus.
They're going to keep this going. They're going to turn this into some more pressure. That Yorick clone just tanking the turret. PDD's ghouls have to tank it for a short time, but now the backdoor bonus is there. They're going to pull back a little bit. And just look at all those kills they've picked up. That mid-game team fight so very, very strong. XiaoXiao really got caught unaware, did not get to use his ultimate or his Deathfire Grasp. So one of those core tenets of that M5 BenQ lineup, the burst damage to kill someone off right away, was completely not there in that fight. Darien, the same, never got to use Crescent Slash. They just do not have... they didn't use all their tools that game. Whereas IG, you saw the Petrifying Gaze from the back, slowing down the opposition. The flash taunt coming in from Illusion to lock up those champions there. That's really how that fight happened, was their ultimates got used, their summoners got used, they got all the damage output here. Alex didn't even get to flash or ignite, just again completely locked up there. That's going to be a major difficulty. This mid game, so very good, because if you can't cast your abilities, your burst damage is gone, and Genja here on Kog'Maw is not yet that scary.
Cassiopeia's versatility, you saw Petrifying Gaze there slowing everybody in the fight to continue capitalizing on kills. It was 2-2 as they picked up 4 in that last fight. 22,000 gold as they still keep a bit of a lead here. XiaoXiao returning to mid lane, making sure nobody is in the wings to take him out, as Zzitai will see him within that range. Diamondprox coming towards middle here. Looks like he could try to safeguard up and get to this fight. The Deathfire Grasp goes off. Coming from behind, he could land the Q here. No, he goes for the safeguard first. The Q will hit a minion, unfortunately.
Oh, wow. And that was them getting a little bit too tricky for themselves. They knew Cassiopeia had Petrifying Gaze up. You kept seeing them go in, then turn around, and he was like, nah, you're just going to juke yourselves. I'll just run away. Thanks. Yeah, that unfortunate Resonating Strike was, the Sonic Wave really was pretty unfortunate there. but even still, I just like the cute moves there.
Zenith over the wall, true shot barrage, but Kid, they're focusing Gosu. It's just going to leave Genja to throw out all the damage. He is more than happy to do that. Going down into the red buff as well. Diamondprox looks like he could have a takedown on PDD here with the help of Darien. They will focus down. Yorick ulti is up again. They're able to chase one out, but it looks like they will pick up the kill there as well. And they go 1 for 1 across the map.
Oh, again, the pressure on the top lane, though. XiaoXiao going to get crushed down. Nice gank by Alex Ish, making that one happen. That's the kind of gameplay, again, that M5 BenQ needs. And the cool thing as well is, again, Alex Ish is against the Cassiopeia in the mid lane. As long as he makes one good move and is able to dodge the Petrifying Gaze ultimate, they can just gank from within the lane. He can happily just run in, Deathfire grasp into ultimate, let Diamond just show up as well. And as long as he actually lands the Sonic Wave, he's going to be really, really good here.
Yeah, Alex not having fun in the early part of this game, as we mentioned, being flashed, ignited, and hit under his turret, Cassiopeia Poison and Ignite, taking him out, very roughed out of lane. So he's making this work for himself. He's controlling the ganks, going all the way around the lanes. You can see the pink ward in lane actually is Zzitai, just does not want any trouble from Alex Ish.
And that's really true. That's going to be how Cassiopeia will play this matchup, is shove the minion wave, kind of watch where Alex is going. If he thinks aggression might happen, he's going to turn around and back right out. You saw him put a vision ward down in that mid lane because he wanted to make sure he could see if Alex would push on through. Now Invictus, knowing they have a gold advantage, are actually shoving in for turrets. This is exactly what they want to do. They know they're ahead. They need to push some objectives and really make this mid game their own.
They're really timing all these waves perfectly. Getting to the tower as soon as they're getting a wave. There's no stalemate time to give Moscow 5 BenQ their time to transfer over to mid. So they continuously get turret damage down without really taking any themselves.
And this is just, again, just going to be their gameplay. With Cassiopeia, they've got wave clearing. With Shen, he can split push and teleport back to a team. This is really exactly what IG needs to do to win this game, is split up just a little bit, send Shen off to the side, and just apply pressure to the outside of the opponent's base. Now, they've gotten one turret so far, but they're going to go for that number 2. Shen, of course, going for that third up top. This is working perfectly for IG.
And here we go. The attack comes in. Petrifying Gaze. Solar Flare goes down. Zzitai drops one as well. But Alex Ish will find Zzitai in the fight. A lot of that carry damage has gone down. And they continue to just go for Gosu Pepper. Darien falls as well. Finally, we lose XiaoXiao. And IG starts to lose members of their team. PDD, the last one to go. A double kill coming up for Kid. And they finally take down onto Kog'Maw. And there's going to be Illusion coming in a little late there.
But Alex Ish making that turnaround, got himself a triple kill as Evelynn. That's going to be a huge deal overall. And that's, a difficulty there is Illusion, trying to show up at the end there, not putting out too much overall. And it was basically saying, hey guys, you can only focus so many champions. Because they have Yorick and Shen who aren't huge damage dealers, all that pain is going to come out in burst. First of all, and then as far as persistent damage goes, it's just Cassiopeia and just Ezreal. And they were focused on killing Gosu Pepper, killing Genja, killing Diamond, and killing Darien, and Alex was left alone to fight the entire time. Let's take a look at a replay of that last fight, because it was neck and neck 4-4 when we see just what happened. The initiation comes out, Cassiopeia with a lot of poke, and they're going to try to get the initiation. You're going to see there's the jump. They go immediately, but look at that perfect Petrifying Gaze. The burst just everywhere. Look at all the damage being dealt. But then Ezreal just chases down under the turret, doing as much damage back there. Alex Ish is safe the entire time to kill whomever he wants and picks up kill after kill.
Now as they move to Dragon here, as we're back to live, looks like Invictus may be able to take their first Dragon here. There have been 3. Diamondprox waiting on the wing to get in there and smite this out. Who will be able to grab their Dragon? Diamondprox grabs it out. Can they win the fight? They lost a lot of HP on the focus there. Alex Ish on a rampage as he drops PDD, and it looks like they will be able to melt a few members here of Invictus Gaming. Diamond is still alive somehow. Puts on the shield. Can they get these last 2 with a sliver of health and an ace and the Dragon steal, and they lose 3?
That is M5 making the team fights happen. When you just look at that coordination, despite not really having most of their ultimates back there, it just did not quite matter. Gosu Pepper dropped, unable to cast Stranglethorns due to the cooldown, even though the Solar Flare was up, that shorter cooldown, pretty useful when you fight all the time, but even still, it did not matter. They instantly dropped down PDD's Yorick. Yeah, he got to put that ghoul out, but just not quite as strong overall. Great overall play here. M5 really putting themselves in a great place now. Finally picking up their own turret kill. now 3-0 on Dragons. That is the only reason they had this gold lead here. It's 14-14 with a turret deficit and a lot of minions on a lot of champions, but they've got that dragon pressure, that objective right there, really keeping M5 in this.
Freak, this is such a crazy game. 1-1, 2-2, 6-2, 14-14, handfuls of kills at a time. We're not really even seeing turret dives anymore. These are full-on team fights from 15 minutes on, and these teams are just racking up the kills. Some in favor of Invictus. Now an ace coming in for Moscow 5 NQ, but 3 of their members going down. Yes, they continue to get Dragon, and that is going to help them, but these fights have really not been absolutely definitive. That was an ace, but Alex Ish was just really unfocused the entire time, so it could go completely different if that happens with him going down first.
Well, the good thing for him, though, is he's about to not go down first anymore. M5, Team Guardian Angel, is about to be in effect. You can see a lot of items coming through. Sin Zhao's got the Null Magic Mantle and the Cloth Armor. Null Magic Mantle and Cloth Armor are here on Lee Sin. Chain Vest and Null Magic Mantle here onto Evelynn, and you're even seeing Zyra. That's actually probably an Aegis in that case, but you're going to see a lot of durability on most of that front line here. It's about to be 8 life M5 here, and that's going to be very difficult to burst through for Invictus Gaming.
Diamond seeing one to make it antsy here. They find Kid, but they're going for XiaoXiao. A lot of damage onto Leona. She throws down her shield. Looks like she could go down. Trying to Zenith Blade out. Solar Flare as she helps her team continue to get there. A great ultimate by Gosu keeps them from really getting into the fight, and they don't have vision past that bush. The ward in the bush for Moscow 5 NQ playing huge dividends here. Now they're just kind of messing around with the raid camp. Diamond says, I can't hit anybody. I'm still going to get experience in the situation. Alex Ish from behind flashes out to take some cooldowns, and here comes Darien, just trying to man mode the entire team. He does get taken down finally, but it is Moscow 5 still in this fight, pursuing kills. Zzitai coming up very big with a triple kill now. Zzitai finding it, but he is going to go down to Genja. Now it's Gosu Pepper on the chase. Kid will pursue. If his shift is up, he will find this kill. The arcane shift hits. He does not. Yes, he does find the last hit required. 19-17. 5 kills for one, 3 for the other. Like I said, just in handfuls.
And this is just going back and forth over and over again. It looked like M5 got a little bit greedy there. They got that free kill onto Leona, which was nice, opening up a 5-on-4. But the problem is, the fights really depend on how good is Petrifying Gaze going to be. That's really turning these battles. Her ultimate is so feast or famine. If she stuns multiple targets, you're going to see M5 drop off really, really fast. And look at that build. It's so aggressive. Went Sorcerer Shoes, got the Abyssal, but then went for a Depth Cap. You see sometimes these Cassiopeia players will go for Spell Vamp, they'll go for some durability, Rod of Ages. Not the case, it's all damage up it all the time. Let's see that last fight go down. It was so close. Who was the big player? Let's find out right now. We see the opening goes on, they jump on a Kid, but the thing is Darien not that far, doesn't really shut Kid down, he's able to put out a lot of damage. There's the fight in the middle, and Genja really caught out here, out of position, down below half health, and burning his summoner heal. The flash coming out from Ghost Pepper as well. Now check out the next big play. A little bit of harass comes down. There comes Alex Ish. The burst is on. Again, Darien in the middle of it all. Not a big deal though. And Kid is left alone to put out damage the entire time here. Kid completely safe. There's the ult from Zzitai. Burst damage, burst damage. Genja goes down. Alex tries to come back in, but he's unhealthy there. Look at that Kid. Just turns around and destroys him. The AD carry still alive. And that's what happens if you don't kill Kid or you don't kill Genja. That's how those fights turn around. An easy chase there for Kid. You've got to kill the AD carry first. You've got to. You cannot waste your cooldowns on anyone else.
Invictus Gaming has not really pushed too much off of these fights, Freak. We've seen this happen before. You need to start capitalizing on things. That top turret was very nicely prepped for them to be taken down throughout the entire lane, and they're able to capitalize on that. So inching by these fights, they are going back and forth. We did see the ace there, but they still need to be picking up more. They didn't find the last dragon, so they need to capitalize very hard off of every fight they win.
Well, as long as they can capitalize off of turrets, that's going to be fine. The difficulty, though, is it's now only 3-2, and it's going to be a bit harder for Invictus because these outer turrets are all gone, and they're not doing the best job of timing Dragon. They've not been picking them up. Yeah, okay, they made an attempt for that third one. Of course, it did get stolen. They need to keep the pressure on these objectives and really turn these fights into something special. Because as we've seen this game, the fights are going back and forth. The gold basically equal. The fights are really determined by Zitai's ultimate and how coordinated the teams are, if anyone gets caught, if anyone lands skill shots or not. So, you know, the only way to cement yourself into the lead is actually by making some really big moves and snowballing yourselves ahead so that your gold can cover any mistakes you might make. You know, No, go for it.
No, you said that this game is so close, and I think statistically close throughout the entire tournament. At 28 minutes in the game, this is the closest we've had the gold and the kills. This game is still anybody's matchup.
The fight's about to start again. Initiation comes in from Darien.
Good job, kid. Almost. Oh, he does get taken down. He doesn't even get a chance to attack. Zzitai falling to Moscow 5, then Q. XiaoXiao coming up very big, but it's Diamondprox with the double kill. The chase down to PDD is just too strong, and this completely spells Baron at 29 minutes for Moscow 5, then Q.
That M5 initiation combo, man, it worked this time. They completely eviscerated Kid's Ezreal, and there was no damage left to support the team the rest of the way through. M5 with complete map control. Illusion's not even going to try to steal away Baron Nashor. There's that objective you want to get after winning a team fight. M5 finally winning a battle convincingly enough they could move on and get something else. They've finally got themselves a bit of a gold lead. They've got map control. Expect to see at least a turret fall down pretty soon. Impeccable timing, though, on Dragon means they're going to go for that one first, but they still do have time, and Baron buff, really, over these next 3.5 minutes to push down another turret and kind of put that advantage back in their favor as well.
The fourth Dragon of the game, just adding to the pockets of Moscow 5, Ben Q. The richest person in the game right now is going to be Genja on Kog'Maw, but right behind him by 100 gold. They're both at 11,000, 10,000 right now for Zzitai, so you can just see how far ahead they are. These guys really banking it for themselves, and the kills going across the board for them. 8 kills for Genja, 8 kills for XiaoXiao. They almost have the same exact score. 4 kills coming in for Diamondprox as well. Darien had a very hard game top, but he's got 14 assists, so he is participating in every fight still.
This is really smart, though, for Darien, as he went like pretty much a full tank build, knowing that not only is he kind of one of the major frontline forces here, and realizing that, again, it's double bruiser, you don't have like an Alistar or a Shen to play the main tank, so someone needs to man up and just be a beefy wall in front, and that guy is Darien here, and thankfully, tank items are pretty efficient there, so he kind of just bought up some durability and was like, you know what? I don't have a lot of damage output necessarily, but I am going to be a really big factor in this game regardless. I have initiation, I have base damages, I have crowd control. Come at me, bro. Kid, you're going to be dying a lot in these fights.
Now, Freak, Zin's build going to be tanking anyways during that top lane phase, but if he would have had an easier lane, would there be more damage in his build, or did he build accordingly for that?
There'd be a little bit more just because he'd be a little bit higher level. He'd have more gold to spend overall on items. I think he still needed to realize that someone has to play the role of tank,
right.
and because you've got a more consistent sort of source of gold being a top laner, that it's a little bit easier to build your top laner as the tank. Because again, neither of them are dedicated tanks by their own right. We've got to cover that with items, and the best way to cover that with items is to have the gold to spend and actually buy those pieces of equipment. So Darien really performing that role. I think from Champions League they knew that was his role, but thankfully, his fates have finally turned around a little bit. They're actually doing a better job in fights. He's getting the gold to supply these items. If Darien had kept getting shut down, if none of these fights went well for M5, he would be so squishy this game.
We see Invictus gaming in their own jungle now. Looks like they're trying to head towards top, just going where they saw the last vision of Moscow 5. With that Baron and Dragon down, it's really all up to just that fog of war fight. Who's going to catch who off guard? Right now, Invictus only has the defensive wards. All the wards for Moscow 5 NQ are offensive. Behind Baron, in Invictus's Tribush, as well as one just went down at Raids, but they're in the bottom of the map as well. They're trying to give themselves that advantage here. 30 minutes into the game, they've broken that score. They've broken that close gold. It's now 49,000 to 44,000, and the turrets are even. Moscow 5, we're now seeing Diamond and Darien staying together in a little bit of a pushing crew here. We'll see how this affects the split push.
Well, it's going to be, I don't really care, really. M5 can just keep pushing on forward. There's a little bit of wave clearing from Cassiopeia. It will make it a little bit difficult, but even still, M5 is the dive crew. They can just go in on a turret and probably come out in pretty good shape. Now, it's only a 4,000 gold difference, but it's still going to be a 5-on-4 to start. They'll get the shield from Illusion. That's pretty strong, but that doesn't mean everything. They can still get a bunch of kills before he's there to lend crowd control. It's a 3-second channel, that teleport. So in the first 3 seconds, if they kill everyone else on the lineup, it doesn't matter if he shows up.
Going right under the turret. There's the dive in. Trying to blow some cooldowns. They blow Stand United. XiaoXiao to the back. He's able to drop Zzitai and flash out of that one alive. The Gosu ultimate is going to knock all of them up, and there's just way too much crowd control for them to answer back. Moscow 5 wiping him out. 2 left for Invictus Gaming. Illusion may go down under the turret. Kid is forced to just keep distance right now. He makes it out of the fountain, but Kid gets dope. Oh, Darien goes down from the fountain laser, and it looks like they are forced out, Freak, but inhibitor turrets are going to get the damage in before they make it.
Yeah, they're going to get hurt a little bit, but it's still a 4 versus 2. Darien channeling his Inder Mach Noon, diving at the base turret right there. And they would have liked to have that, but it's going to be GG anyway. Congratulations, M5 winning Game 1 of the quarterfinals. Invictus needs to bind him in the comeback for Game 2.
Moscow 5 a little on their heels in the beginning, but they just played their game. They continued to gank over and over. Diamondprox definitely countered the ganks beautifully. He was always top when you saw Illusion there.
And that's really what it takes, though. You've got to be aggressive as that team and reactive at the same time. That relying on counter ganks was so impeccable there. And Invictus knew that top lane was like a free win if they could get those ganks going. They knew they could kill Darien. They knew they could set up for that. And, they forced his flash very early on. They put a lot of pressure on that top lane. They kept pulling Illusion over there to deal with him. And I think that was the right play. It's hard to gank for Yorick. It's a little bit hard to gank for Cassiopeia because Alex was playing very safe in the background, and so it made a lot of sense that they would combo in onto Leona and try to put a lot of pressure down there and deal some damage. So I think their gank choices from Invictus made sense, but the reactions from Moscow 5 were perfect. I think they read the team and realized, well, of course they're gonna camp Xinjiao. He's got no natural escapes. They're comboing with Leona. They've got Shen. They're of course going to tower dive, and you saw Diamond was so aware of what that team was up to. Aside from that level 1 gank off of Blizzard buff, he was there for every single gank, every single time. Perfect play from Diamond. And we're going to see a replay of that game-winning push and just how much damage M5 really has.
And we have just the fact that this game was really going to be scaling into late game for these guys. They played it in that mentality as well. Xin was top, having a completely hard time, but knowing, like you said, if he built tanky, he would still be able to farm. He kept himself at 141, only 40 CS behind PDD bottom, who was continuously given blue buff, actually just the one time, and then to the mid. You had XiaoXiao mid having a completely hard time, and then we talked about how it was going to be a burst game after that and how Cass falls behind. So that mentality, almost like Counter Logic Europe, is that we just kind of want to not avoid team fights, so it's a little different than Europe, but not get into them this early because we're not scaled to that point yet. So now we have a replay of one of those aces from the game.
All right, then things start off, right? You see Kid down in the back with the jump on. There's so much damage being dealt on a PDD. This is the one, though, where Kid has a really good time with this overall. Zzitai picking up a lot. The damage coming out. And again, it's just the AD carry getting dropped off the map, and that meant everything here. That burst combo from M5 not landing on the right targets just means that Kid over and over and over again is going to just find enemy champions just kind of exposed and able to be killed. Kid finding that last kill the ace picked up. Again, M5, that you saw them make the correct decisions later on. They finally killed the right targets first. Their initial combos were not put on a Zzitai or Kid. You saw that fight go sour for them. The rest of them, I think they fought them much more successfully. Well done by them.
Yeah, they really played well with Kid on Ezreal, but it just was not enough for them to get through that game. Now they are coming into a second one, and we know that Moscow 5 is just continuously strong right off the bat, even cold on their first game of the day, Freak.
Well, sure, both these teams coming out their first games of the day at the very least, but of course Invictus, yeah, they did have yesterday to kind of play a few warm-up games and fight some of the top competition. But these guys have warm-up computers. They've been scrimming a lot. We saw a lot of them playing actually before the tournament even started on Wednesday over here. And these guys are pretty much warmed up. They are good to go. They know their strategies. They know their opponents. I'm impressed really by M5's overall confidence, kind of picking Evelynn blindly and saying, counter-pick me, I dare you. And it did work out. We're going to see actually just how dominant that Eve was. We've got a replay of that last push. You're going to see just what kind of plays XiaoXiao makes. You can see they're just poking out on the outside of the turret. Genja putting out some pressure with his ultimate. The ultimate goes on. There's the push on the PDD. He gets the shield, but they don't care about the shielding PDD. They care about killing out Zzitai right away. That kill being put on there. Sure, he got ulted by the Yorick clone, but it doesn't really matter too much. They killed out PDD. They found another kill on the XiaoXiao, and they're just diving in because they just crushed those champion lines too quickly. I kind of dislike that shield being put down, onto Yorick instead of being put down onto Zyra. Not Zyra, sorry, but onto Cassiopeia, because they're just crushing out and dealing so much damage as that team. You saw her get one-shotted, basically forced to use the clone to revive, but they were kind of okay with it at that point. They had the Guardian Angel and XiaoXiao. Got himself farmed enough, that triple kill in that fight in the mid game really set himself up for a lot of items and a lot of power, so that he was able to kind of be one of those main initiators and just kind of deal with everyone with his face. just crush people's health bars and survive through that fight. That Guardian Angel really coming in big for him.
I really think the play of Moscow 5 set Invictus Gaming on tilt. I think they need to not aggress in fights just as hard. We saw XiaoXiao going into fights many times and flashing out, and they waited for that to happen every time. So many cooldowns were blown, and the mechanics of Moscow 5 prevailed through the fight every time. So Invictus needs to slow it down, really consider the fight they're going to engage, and I believe that will help him coming into the next game.
Yeah, they've got to make sure that they are actually going for the right targets. The one thing about heavy assassins with great initiation is that when they get enough durability to survive counterattack, I mean, that's how assassins kind of work. They all in, they pick off a target, and then typically the team needs to collapse back onto them and kill them off. Alex had an amazing mid-game and got a Guardian Angel. That option was no longer available. Once again, you know, that lineup from IG cannot pick off the back line. Genja was safe as well.
Yeah.
Alex couldn't get taken down to the front line. There was really no recourse for them. There's nothing else for them to kill in that matchup. So it's either don't let Alex get that GA on an assassin or get a team that can shut down Genja. Because when they actually went for him and they were able to reach him because he overextended, he did die right away. So we're going to see if IG has what it takes to bring Game 2. We will be right back after these quick messages with Game 2 of M5 BenQ versus Invictus Gaming.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Game 2 of Moscow 5 BenQ versus Invictus Gaming here, the championship playoffs. Game 1 was a thrilling clash of two world-class teams. We saw a lot of things happening, so the second game is going to have even more in store, Freak. We saw a lot of aggression towards the top lane because of the lane swap. The top lane has been less focused this tournament due to that middle and bottom lane aggression. So we could really see anything again from these next teams, or these next game.
Yeah, there's a lot of star players all throughout that roster. MVP, I gotta give it to XiaoXiao. This first game, I think he played out of his mind and really kept his team in it. And speaking of him, we actually talked with him a couple days ago and asked him, you know, what it meant to be a pro player and being the only pro player among these who's actually married.
My name is Alexey Chtovkin. Summoner name is Alex Ich. I'm AP mid player. I'm 20. I'm married. I think I'm the only League of Legends married player. I think there are like 2 StarCraft players that are married, maybe more. Yeah, my wife is playing League of Legends, like casual player. I think she was in the hardcore player like 4 years ago, but now she's not playing. Most of the time she's spending reading the books. I think there are some professional League of Legends female teams. They're not really good, like I think 1700 elo, but still League of Legends is starting to advance on this side because sometimes people like watching girls more.
Девчонки, давайте играйте, чтобы у нас были общие интересы, чтобы мы могли познакомиться, и дальше все пойдет-поедет.
Трава зеленеет, река течет, солнце светит. И, в принципе, вчера я гулял, но, короче, как получится. My wife is very supportive, but, you know, sometimes she's telling like, I'm paying not that much attention that I should. I think it was the same with my family, the same with everything. Like, you have to sacrifice something to earn achievements.
And Freak, you know, I think that's what everybody's looking for. Something to just play League of Legends with for the rest of your life, right?
I think that's great. Yeah, I mean, you can duo queue, you can gain elo. You've got a guaranteed partner to arrange with. It's so useful. I mean, why not? More girls should play League of Legends. If you guys know females in your lives, get them to play League. I think there's not enough of them.
There's actually quite a few of the girls' leagues that go on and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's actually very amazing. One of the latest Graves plays, I know a lot of people have seen it. When Graves is running from Caitlyn, he dives in the bush, gets 2 absolutely huge crits, and then the buckshot full damage to take out Caitlyn with like 80 HP.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
They do.
They just got to get up on the main stage.
Yeah. I mean, really, you know, the only reason we don't have more girls teams here is just law of averages, right? They're outnumbered 10-1 or so. But, you know, if you guys just played more, you'd be up here as well. So, anyway, though, let's get back to the game at hand, though. They are phenomenal players. They've been playing, you know, out of their minds so far. Kid definitely had a great match. Of course, he had a bit of an easy lane there, that 2-on-1, not too difficult to lane against. They set up a lot of ganks on a Darien. They couldn't quite make them happen. You know, unfortunately for them, it was the only lane they could really put a lot of pressure onto. So, you know, yeah, they shut him down a little while. He didn't get a lot of gold, but still, he kept up in levels, and he finally got that Sunfire Cape and was too tanky. Meanwhile, you saw a lot more shutdown action coming in from Moscow 5, where they're actually able to kill off the carries much more often. And that really did snowball them ahead quite a bit, where, the carries got underfarmed. Tanks, if they die, it's not that big of a deal. You still have to work through the rest of that lineup. But if you kill off Genja early on or Kid early on, which we saw in a couple of those fights, it really turned those battles around. I think that this coming game is going to be really a fight of who's going to deal the most damage, and are they going to remove those threats early on.
The thing is here, I feel like Moscow 5, as we get into Champion Select, has always just been that one step above. Seeing the Cassiopeia and knowing what's happening, like I said, not expecting to win those early lanes, but completely being comfortable and not getting flustered as that happened. Now, as we go into Champion Select, Evelynn is going to be the first one banned out.
Yeah, and that's exactly a respect ban. That is Invictus saying, oh, yes, Eve very strong, and M5 with a respect ban as well, banning out PDD's Yorick. Guys, there's still a lot to play here, though. A lot of those common strategies have been removed here. All pretty much the linchpins of the game one. The Cassiopeia was there to combo with Yorick. They pretty much got picked together. The Evelynn was, really the big playmaker here. And now, if I'm IG, you don't want to ban out Gosu Pepper anymore because you're still banning out Gragas from XiaoXiao. You're banning out the Eve for good reason. They couldn't even counterlane the Evelynn, so they want to kind of remove that. I would go and actually kill off Diamond's Ezreal. Yeah, that makes sense. Diamond's Lee Sin here because he was a very big playmaker, and that champion is so mobile. He just lends himself so well to counter ganking. He lends a shield to a friend. It's scary overall. Now we're going to see what they're going to go for. They actually have dropped off the Nunu instead, which does leave Sona open. Gosu's been playing Sona for a while, one of his favorite supports. So, leaving that open, I don't quite like that Nunu ban, leaving the other one there. But M5 BenQ leaving up Alistar this time. Now, Alistar with 100% pick and ban rate this game so far. Let's see if they give that one away because they've dropped off Jace, not want to deal with that in the top lane.
Yeah, I think the Zyra had a huge effect last game. So they said, Zyra's not somebody you want to ban out, obviously. It was just troublesome. So we'd rather deal with Sona. Let's ban something else out. Like you said, it may have been a mistake, but it may work in their favor. Still waiting for PDD for the first pick. Will they go ambiguous, or will they go ahead and actually take a lane? And they kind of do pick that. I'm going to play that top or jungle role.
And this could be interesting because I actually like this pick right here from IG by grabbing Shen right away, because Alistar doesn't really play to either of the support or jungler's strengths. He might actually go unpicked entirely by M5 by reading Diamond as an aggressive jungler. I don't think he's even taken the time to learn a lot of those champions. And instead, the same way here for Gosu Pepper, where he just loves that Sona, and it allowed them to actually third pick Alistar here. I mean, they got exactly the champions they wanted because they know how M5 likes to pick. They're like, okay, we'll grab Shen because we know Darien can play it, but we know we can leave Alistar in because it's not a big deal. And honestly, Genja doesn't care that much about Ezreal, so IG just played the beginning of this champion select absolutely perfectly. Now, apparently they didn't want to ban out Lee Sin. They're comfortable with that still being in the lineup. But as far as them getting Shen, Alistar, Ezreal, that is really, really good research. I can't stress it enough. It's a really good play in champs like to give them those champions. They've been so sought after, and they've gotten the 3 they wanted.
And everything for Invictus here, they could still do their little swap at the end of the champion select, which they try to really mess with the runes of the other team, the runes and masteries. We'll see if they throw that in the mix, but it's going to be an Olaf locked in with, once again, Genja looking like he's going to be on Kog'Maw for that long-range safety.
So here I would like to see, honestly, Leona come back out here for Invictus, because with Sona Cog together, you can't play a poke war, and Ezreal, if you play poke war Ezreal, you're not going to come out ahead very well here, and Nunu kind of the same way. You can't force that many fights, Nunu's being banned anyway, so it doesn't matter, but Ezreal plus like a non-hyper aggressive support won't do much, and Cog will scale out this game for free. What they need to do is get if they want a 2v2, of course they could lane swap again, send Shen up there and whatever, and have Alistar zone out in a 1 versus 2, and actually, yeah, it looks like that's going to be the case here. So, Ezreal, Alistar here together, in a 2v2, that actually will work out pretty safely. It looks like they're going to run a double AP lineup, which puts Shen in the jungle. And that's going to be really good. I think they have the ability to jump in onto Kog'Maw, put a lot of damage out there and force that battle and make it really, really scary. And that could be very, very, very strong for them overall. I don't think they're going to play the sort of sit back and poke because it's going to go to Kog'Maw's favor. He's going to scale much harder than Ezreal will. And now it's going to be the lock-in here onto Zilean. So AP mid Zilean means you've got a very, very scary lineup here on M5. And it relies a whole heck of a lot on their bottom lane. It is all about that Kog'Maw here. It's going to be the Genja show here for Moscow 5.
Freak, and I like the situation that happened with those mid picks. Back in Hanover, I remember XiaoXiao saying Mordekaiser, Galio, Ryze, favorite champion. So he knows exactly how to play against Ryze.
Exactly. You know, he's going to have an interesting matchup here. And the cool thing here for Alex Ish, though, is that Zilean is not a very often picked competitive champion. You don't see him in the mid lane very much. You saw him actually a lot more maybe a year ago, especially in America. You saw all the North American teams rush for Zilean. He was like the meta-defining champion. Like a year ago, again, there was an AMA from Skara who said, so the AP mid tier list is tier 1 Zilean, tier 2 everything else. And then, like, without anything happening, everyone was like, actually, Zilean, don't care anymore. But Alex Ish has brought this guy back. He said, you know, Zilean is our guy. We normally see that actually comboed in with Jax. It's about getting Jax into the front line, letting him initiate, hasting him up, tossing out time bombs, and if they ever try to kill him, he just gets chrono shifted and comes back to life. Well, instead of Jax, it's going to be Kog'Maw, and I think it's going to work out just as well. The potential dive comp here from Invictus will do a lot of damage, but they'll just bring Kog'Maw back to life, keep him alive, you know, push everyone back away with Sona and Alistar, and let him keep putting out a whole heck of a lot of damage. This will be really, really strong. I like M5's lineup here. They've got, you know, that late game carry potential. It's going to be so hard to shut down Genja. He will keep putting out a lot of pressure and really kind of turning heads there and doing a bunch of damage.
And how do you feel about this bottom lane matchup coming in right now?
So Alistar Ezreal, it's a really good all-in lane. Ezreal's very good at fighting, especially actually against Kog'Maw. So there's two big traits here. So one is Alistar can all-in and set up a fight. He's got Headbutt and Pulverize. He's got Flash. He's going to make people fight him. If you compare him to Sona, Sona is very pokey. She actually has really bad all-in until level 6. You can put out some damage with Power Chord, put out some damage with Hymn of Valor, but then doesn't really spike health down or spike health back up. She doesn't do, you know, super well in like a, you know, crush heads together, fight a battle. So right there, if Invictus goes for an all-in, they're in better shape as far as supports go. Comparing the AD carries, Kog'Maw is all about trading auto attacks. He's very, very attack speed based, less so about abilities. Well, Ezreal's got this wonderful ability called Essence Flux that lowers the attack speed of his opponents. So if they get into a battle, if Kog'Maw is crowd controlled, he's going to land Essence Flux, he's going to start trading auto attacks, and they're going to completely out-trade Moscow 5. Now, if M5 BenQ can keep it a little bit safe and not have those engagements happen too often, because they will have to run from those engagements, then Sona can kind of get their health back up, sustain back to healthy, and then, you know, kind of continue back from square one. But those aggressions should always go in IG's favor. It should be really, really strong for them.
And we do see these pickups for the jungle. How do you feel about the Shen versus Lee Sin? Now, they're both obviously going to be somewhat aggressive. We could see a level 1 here, but if those two to meet in the jungle in that early first level 1, what are you going to see?
Now, Lee Sin is definitely going to outfight Shen. He's really, really strong, and the ganks are I would say similarly powered. They're strong for different reasons. So Shen kind of comes in there, lands some crowd control, and is able to tank a turret for a while and kind of set up kills that way. And he's very good at initiating jungle ganks. Now, he can only really gank for Ryze. Actually, this is actually really good for Invictus, that he's not going to gank for Vladimir. That top lane can be left alone. And so Shen's going to be able to set up a lot of kills for Ryze and set up a lot of kills for Ezreal Alistar. That's very, very good. He's going to set up ganks phenomenally well. On the other side, though, they've got Lee Sin, who will outfight Shen in a one-on-one, is highly mobile, is an amazing counter ganker because he's got that safeguard shield to keep his teammate alive and then start belting out crowd control himself. And he's got a lot of damage, so when he supports into a gank, he can rely on teammates for crowd control and just supply the damage himself. That's going to be really, really powerful. When you look at the lanes he can gank for, he can gank for Olaf, who can keep landing Undertow. He can gank for Zilean, who's got that time warp slow. He can try to gank for Kog'Maw Sona, which is not the best, but Sona's going to be packing a slow. Kog'Maw's got a slow. It's not too bad. Any of these lanes are actually open here for Diamond. It's not quite as easy for him, but it's still available here.
So, Invictus Gaming not grabbing Yorick, even though it wasn't banned out. PDD chooses a different. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go into this match. Are you ready for game 2? All right, the players are loading in, and they want to hear you through their soundproof headphones. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to see Invictus Gaming keep themselves in the championship playoffs and bring a game 2 and do a victory, let me hear you for Invictus Gaming.
You want to see Europe keep their hopes alive and see Moscow 5 close one out 2-0 and be one of the top 4 teams in the world. Let me hear you for M5 BenQ.
Vuvuzela's being brought out. The teams ready to play as they load into the game. And we are in. Moscow 5 BenQ, now your red team. They did start off on that blue. We did see that Invictus Gaming threw the switch of the lanes up last time as they now start on Blue Freak.
Yep.
See what they have to do. It does not look like they're going to invade too much, but they will put some bottom pressure there to make sure it's defended.
Okay, so let's see there. We're going to see if they move around now. Actually, all of Invictus pushing themselves on the bottom half of the map means they're probably going for something aggressive. They're not watching for invades. They're trying to start an invade. And I mean, look at that level 1 team. Alistair with a wealth of crowd control. Shen's got Shadow Dash that will slow his jungle down. He'll need help if he picks that skill up. Rise has that Rune Prison. Ezreal belting out damage from the side. The only weak link here is Vladimir, and that's not really the end of the world. Meanwhile, you see M5 realizing this aggressive team exists. They're pinging potential ward spots. They're waiting around on the outsides of the map. Genja actually being sent to the top lane. So Moscow 5 Ben Q actually looking for a lane swap to start things out. And that actually is going to be interesting. Oh, Darien gets caught though. There's the Pulverize as well. First blood might be there. 1 hit to go. There it is. Nice opening here. IG finding their stride early on in this game. Is that their second first blood as well?
Yeah, they came out strong, but there is the curse of first blood as well, Freak.
Yeah, we've seen actually pretty much throughout the entire Southeast Asian regionals that the team that picked up first blood tended to lose the game like with pretty regular frequency. Invictus did break that curse though because they got it up against CLG-NA, so they still got the chance here. But you know, it's a 400 gold lead, and it gives Rise a lot of extra power here. Him getting that 400 gold means he can immediately buy a Sapphire Crystal if he wants in lane, and that is a big power jump.
IG says we're going to swap it up again, but Moscow 5 Ben Q reads it like a book. They do get poked out here, the undertow, and I don't think it actually gave them vision of that. It's on the other side of the bush there, so it was denied, and a lot pulling up for Diamondprox here so he can get that red buff. XiaoXiao throwing a bomb on him and running off. Very tricky. He doesn't have to stay there for it. It looks like they're saying, should we take the
Darien
blue buff?
again. Darien taking a bit of pressure, but looks like he's going to be safe. But that was risky, though. Darien's like really trying to spot this out. He doesn't have any ward coverage, though. He shouldn't really be sticking around like this.
Yeah, this is quite scary. I don't think anybody around him still has anything that's going to keep him in the fight. He is kind of on Illusion's back, but it's the undertone. He's already out of mana. This could make it quite difficult for him in the early part of the lane, as Vlad not exactly relying on mana. We are seeing Gosu go in here for the red buff, quickly pulling that off for Diamond so he doesn't take too much damage. Could see something fast here. Very nice counter here on the red.
This is really scary, though. I mean, Gosu Pepper making a lot of effort, though, and looks like they're actually going to collapse down onto this Alistair right there. XiaoXiao sees them, but looks like he's going to back off. This is going to turn into a 4 versus 2.
Now are they caught in the wrong position? He is slowed by that Void Ooze. Looks like they could have the damage to take down XiaoXiao, and they will. Sona gets the kill as Gosu throws out a basic attack.
Bit of trade damage coming in from Kid, but he really shouldn't stay around too much there. Gets counterattacked a bit, and that is just kind of unfortunate. Alistair walked down and was like, oh, I see you, and then managed to take all of the abilities onto his face. Nice job being put out there. Ghost Pepper even putting out the Ignite to help that kill happen, and that was really, really good overall. And a nice sort of orchestrated jungle invade. They realized their blue was stolen. Ghost Pepper actually a lot of damage being dealt to him. Kid taking a lot of counterattack, though. He's getting so aggressive, and the problem is Pepper has, actually I guess he's out of mana, so he will recall back. But, you know, Kid didn't accomplish too much except for losing some health potions by doing all that aggression. I don't know if that push really mattered all that much.
And this is going to be really great for Genja up top. Kid now with that Ignite down, he still has Flash and Arcane Shift, where he's going to be very slippery in engagements until they can really lock him down with Crescendo at level 6. We can see that mid lane going in strong. The flashes are forced on Zzitai. Moscow 5 Ben Q continues the aggression.
With a couple of moves there on the Darien. This bottom lane matchup actually should go, I think, in a Darien's favor. That right now he's not getting camped by Shen, although he doesn't have any ward coverage, so he doesn't actually know if he's going to get ganked by Illusion. This is actually pretty powerful, though. The thing is, it's difficult for a player to gank for Vladimir. He doesn't bring any crowd control, and this early on doesn't bring much damage either. So even though Darien's in an unsafe place with no vision coverage at all, he's really not killable, and Darien should be able to pretty much free farm here. Even though the lane is not the easiest to win, he'll just farm and scale throughout this game, and that's pretty much fine too. You're still going to see a lot of the pressure be in this top and mid lane here with that lane swap happening.
See a bit of aggression up top. Diamondprox trying to walk through the bushes here and get in that forward bush. He does have the double buff on. Now just kind of backing to see if anything helps. And to help him to just dip back, grab some items. He has 775 gold on him. Looks like he tries to starting his Madrids. Bottom lane, Olaf versus, or PDD rather, versus Darien. That lane is 26 to 19, so Darien is having a little bit of trouble with that low mana still in lane.
And he's ultimately, getting pushed to his turret, which is a big difficulty there. Vladimir, not having to rely on mana, will able to continually push minions down. And again, he knows that he's actually really safe in a gank attempt as well. Just there's a lot of ward coverage already down for Invictus, allowing him to push safely. Contrary to how Darien's playing it, knowing that he's safe and doesn't need vision, Invictus has vision and knows that he can always retreat and be safe if anything is to happen to him. So both of these players really feeling confident in that bottom lane, and as a result, PDD is just pushing to the turret and trying to deny minion kills. You can see him up 6 minions as a result because he's putting on so much pressure.
Zzitai now taking a lot of damage in middle, but the turret is going to hit Diamond. No, he safeguards out after that hit. Zzitai just had it happen to him a few seconds ago, but did not learn from that.
Really, really nice gank attempt here. Moscow 5. Again, in the driving seat here. IG looking for a flank.
They go up to the top lane. Gosu Pepper is getting flashed out. Nice job on Genja. They put him outside of the range of Gosu as he's forced to come into the fight himself. The damage is being dealt back and forth now as Kid starts to take a few. And very aggressive here from Moscow 5 Ben Q in the top in the 3v2.
XiaoXiao had made his way up to the top lane as well in order to defend that. But there was no fight to continue. He just simply went back down to that mid lane and decided to square off against his lane opponent once more there as Rise. So this opening here, still very, very close, neck and neck overall. Invictus' choice to go for that 2v2 at the top lane, I think it's fine overall. There's the aggression again coming in from XiaoXiao.
Looks like Gosu could be taking most of it here. They're kind of out of mana, but they're still going in for the fight. The Ignite once again down. That one is Ezreal's. Kid just got his Ignite back, and he goes for the aggressive Summoner once again, thinking they can capitalize on the kill. Their lane is getting much, much more dangerous as they come into these fights. He still has Flash Up, but XiaoXiao does not have an escape right now. So he has to be careful what situation they're really putting themselves into, because it could just become a bait for a double kill.
Well, they've got to worry about this a little bit. Diamond is moving his way over, and that's going to make things... Yeah, he's just kind of waiting around in the wings, knowing that there's ward coverage at the Tribe Rush, so he can't go in any farther and get spotted. Diamond just ever vigilant for that counter gank. He will eventually realize that actually that top lane was looking to recall, but ended up not. They had sat in the brush for a short time. There we go, one more lane shove, and they will recall back here. Gosu Pepper already set back to base. Actually makes this a bit more difficult for Genja, but normally your support will actually prime the minions for you and get them low enough that your AD carry can last hit them successfully. Now, as it turns out, Genja does kill them all pretty successfully himself, but normally you do see a support try to lend aid there when that happens. And so seeing that Pepper had been sent back, they shoved one more lane, or one more wave rather, and then went back to base. Now both these top lanes have gone back to buy new items. XiaoXiao with free reign on this Golem buff is going to be walking in a lane with pretty much infinite mana here, and you will see him shove a lot as well and turn those into pushes on the side lanes.
Here's the timer onto the blue buff once again. XiaoXiao there though, the entire team, they had the timer on it since they know it was stolen as they came up from top lane. They look like they are going to get this one. Pressure from Diamond going in, knowing XiaoXiao does not have the escape. Illusion comes in, taking quite a bit of damage. The second bomb is on. Diamondprox safeguarding, kicking him back as well to solidify the kill. Now leaving Kid to dive under the turret. Diamond getting quite aggressive here. 2-shot barrage hits. He goes down to the turret, but he's brought back up by Chrono Shift. Gosu just getting out with a sliver of health. Kid could go down to the bomb, he lives as well. It's now onto Diamond, as the Chrono Shift wasn't enough to keep him alive. It's going to be a 2-for-0.
And at the same time though, that was Vladimir getting, I believe, a solo kill off on Darien. He died under his turret. So that engagement overall 1-for-1. A nice attempt by M5 to dive that turret because that Chrono Shift was available. They thought they could just put the pressure on. The difficulty there was actually Alex in bad shape here. So much pressure from Zzitai. He's going to trade that one back. Ignite will pick up that kill. Zzitai with a happy Golem buff here, almost dropping to that time bomb himself. But Magic with his Blitz, keeping himself alive. That is scary. Normally you don't want to all in like that against Zillion, but he knew that cooldown was down.
So what went to be continued pressure kind of gave the blue buff over to Zzitai. Now a blue buff to be had that was not stolen. The timer's going to be off on that, so I don't think Diamondprox is going to put too much more focus on it. They tried to control them as the game went on. 4-3 now at 9.5 minutes in the game. Pretty much even gold. Only 800 gold separates these teams right now. The turret has been destroyed, so that's going to give them a little bit of a boost. With really no vision on the map, they see XiaoXiao mid, and they see Ezreal top, so this says they should feel safe enough to do a dragon. Lee Sin has finished the Modric sweep, so they should be able to cut this down quite quick.
This is really M5 with the same strategy as the first game, where they just spend a little bit of extra gold on ward coverage to ensure that no one sees them go for dragon. and they over and over and over again just simply make their way down there. Honestly, if I'm Shen here, if I knew about this, you would just kind of walk over and look for a smite steal just to try it. There was not a lot of crowd control down there to deal with him. He would have been safe to make that move, but just the fact that he didn't even try proves Invictus did not have vision on that side of the map. M5 doing a really, really good job of controlling that objective. Completely blind to Invictus. I don't expect them to have a timer on it right now. They just actually now pinged, oh guys, I think Dragon might be dead.
Yeah,
so they have a rough timer, but that's it.
It's going to be coming up at 15:50 once again. So Moscow 5 BenQ losing that blue, said we need a timer on another objective. Let's grab Dragon. So 10 minutes and 30 seconds in, that timer is there as PDD now finding himself in trouble. He is going to get Shen in this fight. The 2v1, Darien is quite hurt here, and it looks like the kickback will knock them both up, mitigating a little bit of damage. The troll pool goes down. Can he get a final attack? No, they've lost Darien in the fight. Diamondprox! Oh, going in for the kill, almost getting the kill. Very nice job there, and actually beautiful timing by PDD to understand he was coming back in for the resonating strike.
That was a nice counter gank there, and that is really the strength of having Shen on your team, is he gets free counter ganks that stand united, really proving itself well. And M5 didn't feel too bad about it the first time. They actually kind of outplayed Illusion's Shen in game 1. This one is looking much more brutal. And this time, you know, XiaoXiao, he's not an Evelynn. He's not on a snowball, get a quadra kill in a team fight type champion. He's going to be there relying on his teammates. Now, he's only being pressured by his mid lane opponent. Zzitai did win that duel earlier, but otherwise, you know, IG are leaving him alone because they're not worried about Alex carrying. He's not going to be, you know, late game a big damage threat. He's going to be late game a big support threat, and that's fine. They're kind of allowing him to scale throughout the game. Instead, M5, you know, the only threats there are Genja and Darien, and so Invictus will over and over again spend the effort to try to knock those two down on the map. It's worth ganking Darien, it's worth that Shen ult coming in there to make that counter gank happen, and it's worth them trying often, I think, to try to dive Genja here on Kog'Maw. You might see them really put a lot more pressure on the top lane pretty soon.
You see Kid heading up through the jungle, making sure that nobody is in there playing any aggression. That blue buff was taken down quite a little bit ago, so they're not going to have that spawn yet. Zzitai in middle becoming very strong here, and you see them locking down onto XiaoXiao. A beautiful stack of the crowd control. He throws Chrono Shift on. It looks like Zzitai will proc that just to get it back up faster. It looks like they want to continue this fight. We do have Darien looking to come in from the wing here in that bottom part of the river. He has to be very careful. XiaoXiao not doing that much damage anymore. He hasn't been able to build that ability power yet, and the HP that Zzitai has grabbed from the Catalyst is really just stopping any of the damage from the bombs, and he's able to trade easily with Alex at this point. But PDD again down bottom, finding himself in a bad situation. He came out with a kill on this before. It did not go down, but it does not look like he has the help from his teammates. Hemo Plague with a lot though. Darien is very close, and he does come out with it. He was kicked away by Dragon Rage. He could easily sustain himself back up here, but amazing play by PDD, keeping himself safe in what looked like instant death. Simon, however, the counter comes in. He safeguards very close, and it's only going to be Zzitai there to meet him as Illusion grabs the Vorpal kill.
Wow, and you know what, Darien, you had an elixir of fortitude. You didn't use it in that fight. That would have been enough damage to pick up the kill. But speaking of kills, top lane under pressure again. XiaoXiao taking a lot of pain actually at counterattack. And again, this is how that lane kind of goes. They go in for the fight, but if they don't follow through, M5 has poked and a lot of consistent damage. You saw Genja and Gosu put out a lot of pain in response there. But I don't want to harp on Darien, but he forgot his elixir. That would have made him survive that battle, and the extra 10 attack damage might have been enough to pick up the kill as well. He forgot. He bought it in order to bait fights like that, and he forgot about it in that battle. Darien, the strat relies on you. You're not Jax, you're Olaf this time, but it's a strategy about you. That's why they went for Zillion here. You've got to pick up your game, man. The strat's about you. You've got to make this happen.
So we see Genja out of mana up top, continuously farming. They're at a perfect spot. Nobody wants to go back there. The turrets just going to eat up the minions. Red buff going to Diamond. It looks like he's going to try to have them push the lane here or just come up with a tri-bush and safeguard over to a teammate. Genja's still out of mana, so this is kind of a great bait for them. He has that heal up, he has his flash up, and he can throw out a Void Ooze as well to crowd control them into this. Diamondprox feels that he's losing a little bit too much time in that top lane though, and still an aggressive XiaoXiao and Kid can easily bump them out of a fight and get out safely.
Yeah, and now we see just how these matchups are kind of going through. That top lane, definitely hard to gank overall. That Alistar, just a brick wall there, and really just stops aggression very easily. If you go on him, he's got unstoppable force, which is pretty much impossible to break through. you might say he might be unstoppable. But at the same time, though, never mind. Anyway, sorry. But you know, that top lane, it's just so hard for M5 to really break through there. You know, they don't have an easy time of ganking Kid. Kid's going to have a nice, easy lane this whole way through, keeping up in minions 116 to 113 against Genja's Kog'Maw. It's very different from last time where Genja was the guy who was rich the entire way through. He had a bunch of kills, he had a lot of minion kills, and he was just, you know, happy to go through it. That's not really the case here. He's, you know, just going to be scaling moderately through this game, and Zzitai actually putting some pressure again on this top lane.
You see him just down bottom. They time those wards. The crescendo goes up, but the LSR ulti will be holding that turret damage. A beautifully well orchestrated power dive.
And that is what happens when you've got Shen and Alistar on the team. They can safely ignore turret pressure pretty well and just dive in, flash, headbutt, pulverize, just, you know, not even flash in this case, but just headbutt, pulverize, and enable kills over and over. That's really where I expect to see the aggression again, just, you know, constantly really from Invictus. Now they turn that kill into their second turret of the game. This is really, really smart here from these guys. Now they do have the Dragon well enough time that they are coming down for it. Let's see if they can win this.
Oh, coming around the outside, they catch PDD, but this has not worked for him for the last 2 times. They look like they have just enough damage here. The Ignite will tick, and they finally shut him down. Darien getting some much-needed gold in a lane that has not gone his way. Diamond not able to get back into the fight. Mana very low right now for Moscow 5. XiaoXiao finds his ultimate down as he is just surrounded by members flashing over the wall. They get the sound on Diamond. Will they come up with a kill? They get the bomb down on Illusion, and it's now the counter. Here comes Genja from the side. The damage onto Illusion takes him down, and the 4v3 is pushing IG out of a fight that was theirs.
Darien from the side, gonna find Zzitai. He gets the damage. Will they get XiaoXiao?
XiaoXiao now with the bomb on him will not make it out alive. The double kill execution, and now what would be their dragon a few minutes ago. Moscow 5 secures this one to be uncontested.
That was perfect team fighting from M5. Diamond especially baited out so much damage onto himself, safeguarded back, and after that safeguard actually landed Sonic Wave and was like, yeah, sure, I'll dive in on you, and knew that the damage was not there to shut him down, just playing so aggressively and getting rewarded for it every time. And Darien finally finding himself some gold. Picked up 3 kills in that fight. He was 0-4. Now look how rich he is. He's got 2,400 gold in the bank thanks to that team fight. Expect some big items coming out from him.
We do see, as we take a look at those items 17 minutes into the game, it's like we have the Aegis in the jungle. That double AP is going to be sustaining off the Will of the Ancients that PDD picked up. We saw that being in his favor these last few fights. Continuously jumped on by Darien and Diamondprox, but they can't do enough damage as his sustain and spell vamp is just way too much. The BS sword coming out on Ezreal. It's like he's going for that Bloodthirster in the early phase for a little bit of damage as well as lane health as well as lane harass. So these guys are kind of piecing together the builds right now. We see that XiaoXiao has finished the Rod of Ages to give himself a little bit of tankiness as well as damage. Not too many items. That Athene's is going to be on Zilean, who's looking for a lot of sustain there, and Olaf is going to be trying to force fights with Diamondprox. That Frozen Mallet is really going to help them to stick to people during these engagements.
So now we're going to see what these lane setups are going to be here, because there's now a really good front line. PDD getting cut out. Can they get the damage here?
They see Shen coming in, and they kind of turn and haul backwards on that one. It's going to be 9-7. Right now, Invictus Gaming is doing great because they're able to get to these fights so fast as they come in. Gosu Pepper is going down. No, he's going to be helping as they go for PDD. XiaoXiao will focus him first. The troll pool is off, and this is the time to dive of Vladimir, but it's on to XiaoXiao. He's going to happily sit in the chrono trigger there, continue his blue buff, and not get taken down by True Shot Barrage. Illusion going for the taunt. Zzitai, however, not there quick enough. They are in pursuit. XiaoXiao looking for the headbutt. Who is he going to push backwards here? Good damage coming out. Gosu Pepper finds himself down. There's no turret for these guys. It's an all-out chase. Invictus Gaming on the heels right now of Moscow 5. Alex speeding himself up as it looks like the rest of the teammates able to make it out safe. Coming into 20 minutes into the game, these teams look to start dictating where the fights happen.
There's a lot of engagement windows here from both sides. You've got, you know, a Lee Sin or an Olaf that you can haste here, and they will just charge in, land Undertow, or land Tempest and Cripple, and that slow is going to be enough for the team to follow up here. Gosu Pepper, can show up with that crescendo, lock the champions down in the second and a half. That is enough time for M5 to collapse in onto a battle. The same thing is here for Invictus. They've got Alistar who can run in, flash, headbutt, pulverize, Shen, flash, shadow dash. These guys can start fights from very, very far away and lock the opponents down in order to start a battle. it's going to be very, very tricky on both sides. XiaoXiao can only revive one teammate, so it's only if IG goes for single target focus, then he's really going to be able to keep the team in good shape. But IG is really very area of effect focused. Look at that, Vladimir going to hit everyone really on the team. Zzitai, while he's going to cast single target spells for the most part, his ultimate makes all of his abilities deal splash damage and hit other things on the map. Ezreal, he's got single target focus, but also that true shot barrage hitting multiple targets. So you're going to see a lot of M5 take pain all at once on that lineup, and he can only revive one of them from Zillion. It's going to be a little bit difficult in that team fight. I think that late game power is really in IG's favor. They've got a lot better scaling here with both Ryze and Vladimir really just going to keep scaling from gold and keep scaling from levels. They will be very hard to deal with. I think M5's saving grace is on Genja and Darien. Darien can be so disruptive, he can shrug off that area of effect damage and just chunk down onto Kid or go onto Zzitai and really ruin one of those hyper carries. And if Genja can somehow be safe, despite taking a lot of damage from a lot of different places, he can actually start taking down champions himself. That's going to be a little bit harder because there's a lot of beef to break through. If he can do it though, that's where the damage is going to come from.
Freaky said IG is going to scale hard into the late game, and PDD is helping them to do that so much. At least 600 or more gold in front of anybody on Moscow 5 bench here right now, and 500 gold more than anybody on his team. He is really playing huge by himself. It was against that Olaf lane, even though Olaf came to lane with low, although Olaf came to lane with low mana, continued to pressure and snowball that lane, knowing it would be in his favor.
And that's just what, and again, that's really knowing the matchup very well. His team with the early ward down allowed him to push so aggressively and not worry about Diamond the entire time. And you just saw how well that lane went for him. 0 and 4 is how Darien opened that match. PDD absolutely playing a phenomenal lane this game. He did a great job as Yorick as well. He was out laning the other 1v2 there on Darien. PDD's been doing a great job. He's not getting all the fame, really, at least not from me, so far in these games and not being praised enough for his awesome play, but he's absolutely going to be one of the biggest forces in this match. It's really going to be, I think, on PDD, on that Vladimir from Invictus to make the biggest moves.
Moscow 5 now to try to take a turret. True Shot Barrage goes out. That was to be an initiation with Hemo Plague and a good taunt from Shen, but just not there to make it happen. He is top. Actually, that was going to be a Rune Prison coming in. Shen is trying to farm himself up right now. 65 to 90 minions. So even Diamondprox having a very good game for himself in the jungle. We've seen him a lot in the lanes, trying to clear waves back and forth now. The shortest lane of the game, the mid lane, very compact. A lot of fights can happen right now. They are under the turret. We see the speed off going onto Olaf, but XiaoXiao coming down makes them kind of stalemate that. Still hold off. PDD trying to harass completely in their face, taking so much damage. He is almost dead right now. Can they get the final hit? And he will go down. His trickery does not pay off for the team. A double kill for XiaoXiao. They continue to crush down onto Invictus Gaming, and they definitely initiated on the wrong foot here, Freak. Kid goes down. They drop 4 and stand united, not even able to be used.
That was so unfortunate. PDD took a boatload of harass before the fight even started. Actually, a rather poorly timed pool as well. He came back up before the time bomb finished, and he actually got bursted through the Stand United shield, so Illusion not even able to fight in that battle. And I think IG expected him to show up. He saw Zzitai get all the way into that fight. That might have been a Dragon Rage, misplacing him, but still, all the carries went down so fast right there. Illusion unable to save anyone there, and it was really a total 4-on-5 the entire way through. XiaoXiao happily dueling Illusion because he can revive himself and not care. They're pushing Illusion out to make sure he cannot steal away Baron. That's going to go down right now. Nice job by Diamond. Almost actually the correctly timed steal from Kid. There is that kill. XiaoXiao taking down Shen in that duel. Excellent job. Just like last game, M5 suddenly putting a team fight around and building themselves a lead, immediately following up with Baron.
You know, Freak, I said Invictus is going to have to be very careful on their engagements. There, they started off that fight. It looked all right. PDD has had very good chances going around Olaf, going around Diamondprox, that's Darien and Diamondprox rather, taking a bit of damage and being all right. But you got to remember, they used True Shot Barrage that missed the start of that fight. That's an ultimate down. Ezreal did come in, but they engaged off of that happening, and then, like you said, Vladimir pooling at the wrong time. They didn't really seem like they wanted to engage there, and that's what really started to cost them fights last game. As you said, a hard swing of the match there in favor of Moscow 5 now. The Baron is on. That 4-minute pause button to go to Invictus Gaming. 13-10 is the score here at 25 minutes, but the gold is still relatively close, only about 2,000 gold difference. The IG has turrets in their favor.
The problem is that this looks exactly like the last game, where Invictus had really opened up in the driver's seat, did really, really well. M5 got that one team fight and got Baron off of it, and these 4 minutes are going to be them picking up a number of turrets. It's 2-0, but it's about to be, I would say 2-2 is going to be my guess by the time that Baron buff is gone. You can see that middle turret so very low on health. IG forced to send a lot of resources to that lane to defend it constantly, but it should be pretty easy for M5 to split push with Darien. Now his Ghost isn't quite up yet. He's got a little bit of time left waiting for it, about 50 seconds on that. But even still, just with Ragnarok, he should be able to split push and then escape from anything sticky on his own end. That's going to force someone to defend him as M5 goes in for a 4v4 somewhere else. And M5 being very single target focused, it's going to be very easy to fight those smaller engagements. And they're going to just tend to scale better as fights go smaller. Whereas IG wants a 5-on-5 or at least a 4-on-5 with a good stand united. M5 is happy to fight smaller engagements because they'll win most of them.
You can just see how much fighting has been done in this game by looking at the minion scores. We're 26 minutes into the game and only one person is really over that 200 mark. They have been roaming. Each one of these teams is playing that roaming game. A tower takedown, they slow down PDD. Again, he gets caught out before the fight to about 10% health. This is not helping his team. The engagement goes down and IG was not sure about it once again. They lose Alistar. The turret will be pushed once more. They don't even have the minion wave there, and you can see the aggression coming out right now. Genja taking a little bit of poke, but they have the complete upper hand of this situation.
This entire game just looks like IG is so unfamiliar with Zilean. We saw in the mid lane matchup a good long time ago, you called it out, where Zzitai actually went and triggered Zilean's Chrono Shift, when actually the best way to deal with Zilean's ultimate is to stop, ignore the champion, and literally just wait the 8 seconds for it to wear off. Instead, triggered it and let Alex come back with high health. You've seen PDD twice now take 1 million damage, just getting poked out by those time bombs. I don't know if he's not realizing the base damage on the ability, or he doesn't know the range, but he's constantly taking damage from these sources and really is unable to fight giant battles. And it's now the second time that Illusion has tried to stand united and not gotten to teleport in because the burst is so high from M5.
This is so scary. They don't even have stand united. Rise using his ultimate. They don't have Hemo Plague either. A lot of aerial effect is lost out for Invictus Gaming here. And again, they continuously get dropped out. This fight just happened and it did not go in their favor. Zzitai finding himself being taken down as well. Moscow 5 pushing through so hard, coming up with more kills. They just separated this game by 6 kills and 4,000 gold now.
There we go, with 2 turrets in their credit, finally pushing down the rest of that mid lane. They're going to regroup here. Looks like a lot of farm is there at the top half of the map. They're going to speed up Genja and allow him to get that. And that's really going to be the big strength here for Moscow 5, is that Darien is now to the point where he is tanky enough. He can rely on just base damages, that max rank reckless swing, max rank undertow, a lot of damage as well. He is pretty much safe just to run through and just chunk people down and just be tanky for the rest of this game. It's not a big deal. Darien doesn't even need gold. He just needs, one more level to hit 18 and that's it. But Genja will keep scaling. He's got that Phantom Dancer. He's going to go for the Infinity Edge next. Last Whisper soon. Guardian Angel has always been his 3rd item pretty much every single time. He's got 2,700 gold right now, which means he's actually close to Infinity Edge himself. And that's going to be just a super, super scary Kog'Maw. And again, with Darien being this tanky, with Diamond and Alex and Ghost Pepper all there to support, not even Genja will go down either. M5 has a really good team fight chance ahead of them.
So it looks like Alex Ish has surpassed PDD in gold. 500 gold there. He is the first one to reach 10,000 gold in the game. And we can see, we said it before, the switch in that mid-game where Moscow 5 figures out where IG is. They start to dictate the fights and they really pull Invictus Gaming off guard, making them very unsure about the fights. 17-11, as I said, the score just now. Freak mentioning they took down those middle 2 turrets. Now this leaves top lane and bottom lane, which is perfect for after that Baron take. They can start to push down, push up top. They can get a split push going on and do bottom. They have a lot of utility on this team to get speed around the map. And once they get down to those inhibitor turrets, it's going to be hard to stop a Diamondprox and a Darien from pushing a lane by themselves.
And that's really going to be the difficulty here, is that M5, they have so much power there, they can just force any fight they want.
The stand united coming down, and he might have baited himself into a kill as well. Illusion finds himself going down, trying to save out PDD. They find XiaoXiao. They do have a turret here, so it's semi-safe, but they walk away from it. The crescendo clears both of the players. Double kill coming up for Genja. They also find Kid, And they are looking now for XiaoXiao. He is just under the turret, trying to do what he can, going down valiantly. And another ace for Moscow 5 BenQ. It looks like they do say GG on Invictus' side. Have to see if that is what they say for the surrender. Moscow 5 pushing down this bottom lane. The surrender vote comes out to 4-0. Moscow 5 taking their semifinal match. Moscow 5 beating Invictus Gaming.
Congratulations there to the Russian team. Moving on, top 4 in the world officially. They're going to move on to Saturday's matches. They've got one more opponent before putting themselves in that $1 million match, and we'll see who those opponents might be. We've got more games here today, 2 more quarterfinals set up for you guys. Of course, don't go anywhere because the action is only going to get more intense as we will down more and more of these teams.
Freak, just amazing play here. Let's quickly see how this affects the brackets as we discussed this amazing game that we just saw. And again, an unfaltering Moscow 5 BenQ. Brackets.
Go for it. Go ahead. Okay, fine, I'll do it. Yeah, M5 moving on to that top 4. They're guaranteed now even more money. I believe it's now $125,000 for being a top 4 team. We've got a couple more quarterfinals to talk about here. You've got Team Solo Mid at the end of the day is going to be taking on Zzitai Frost. You've got Taipei Assassin, the Najin Sword, the winner of that, and they're going to be playing in the very next match. TPA and Najin are the next match. They're going to be up against M5 here. That's going to be the semifinal that we would then see tomorrow. You saw that top half of the bracket. More games coming up. This is going to be just a lot of epic games here in this tournament. I can't call any of the rest of these matches even still. We saw Invictus so narrowly winning, narrowly losing. They came so close to winning this match. Both games, they started out incredibly fast, a lot of gold, a great advantage for them, but it looked like both games were identical. There's a couple of mid-game fights getting completely turned around. Alex Ish played the carry role ultimately, even in both cases, even on something like Zillion, which you don't consider normally a carry. He was doing all the poke damage, revived his teammates, kept the kills from going on. A beautiful job. Let's actually see a replay of just how dominant he was. It's been a great game so far from Moscow 5. As things open up, you can see just that dive at the bottom half, so much damage dealt to PDD. Shen did come in, but as you called it, Riv, he kind of baited himself into his own death. The Zhonya's Hourglass not even mattering. This is just M5 having beautiful execution there. Sona saving the crescendo, knowing they didn't need it for those first few kills. Really locked up Kid and Zzitai picking up those last few kills. And another great point for them, they left the support alone. They did not need to kill Alistair. They let him sit down at the turret and just, cry by himself and just pick up that last kill at the very end. M5, that teamfight execution is just so strong from them. They are amazing.
Freak, it was an amazing matchup by Moscow 5, and not just because of their roam. It was the timing of their roam. Every time they met a turret, there was a full minion wave there. And I mentioned this in the middle when they took out that first middle turret of the game, is that does not give the 15, 20 seconds for the team to get to that position. They don't have their wave clearing champions there. And they did that perfectly every time. And being able to roam like that gives you an advantage every few minutes in the game. They were able to take a ton of dragons. Diamondprox was coming out huge on those throughout the entire 2 games for them, and they just controlled the game in their way. The fight started getting dictated by both teams actually towards that 20-minute mark in the game. We saw such low minion scores through both teams because it was just all out punching each other in the face. But Moscow 5, obviously, with the better blows, they were able to take down Invictus Gaming. We're going to head over to Rachel on the stage. We're going to get an interview with the winners.
Thank you so much, Rivington. That was an incredible match. How does it feel to kick their butts?
It is an awesome feeling. It's like the first match of the day, so we were able to break Asian dominance, and we're really happy about that.
So you guys made some interesting choices in champion picks. What was the strategy behind that? Was that tailored specifically to Invictus Gaming, or is that just something you've been working on?
We just pick broken heroes.
What excited you the most about playing against Invictus Gaming?
I was really excited by the AD carry in the first game. When I was fighting him, he wasn't just randomly running. He was always like flashing in his team when I was like coming from behind. And I was really impressed because when I play against most of the teams,
they just start randomly running around because they are afraid. And he was like not really nervous and knew what to do.
They GG'd against you twice. They surrendered. What does that feel like?
I think that is that is Asian tradition. They show respect to the team, and if they know that they lose, they don't expect some comebacks and the mistakes from the enemy. They know that they lost, so they just surrender.
Up next, you will face either Taipei Assassins or Najin Sword. Who would you rather face?
I think that we will face Magnoon.
Are you prepared for that?
We'll see.
We shall see. I'm going to send it back over to the desk for some final thoughts from Rivington Freak and DJ Wheat. Thank you so much, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, an awesome conclusion to the first matchup of the day, but now we're joined by our very own DJ Wheat here in the booth. So let's talk a little bit about Moscow 5 BenQ. It just, so many people said here nor there, maybe they can do it. A lot of people don't think they can do it because it's international and they've never come out of that bubble as you described it earlier. But yeah, they showed it.
Yeah, I mean, historically, think about it. I mean, in the history of esports, like how many times we had a team who's been really dominant in their region, and then they've just come on a grand global stage and continued their dominance. I mean, it's hard to just say on paper, we've seen this team do great,
right.
We know they can do well, but when you've got these Korean, these Chinese teams, like, it's really quite mind-blowing to see them perform that well, and they're kind of just taking their legacy that they've shown in their region, online, and they're just, looks like they want to take it all the way home for the World Championship.
Yeah, and it looks scary for them too. You saw both those games open up with Invictus making all the right moves, and it's like, okay, M5 BenQ coming in as a favorite. Okay, Invictus second place in the group. Okay, they're still good. It's like, dude, they're losing. Like M5 is like losing straight up, and IG has better late game in this. Oh, mid game team fight, right? Like they just kind of buckled down in those games and was like, guys, come on. We're M5 BenQ. Of course we're going to win. And they really just kind of laid it down. Like once it hit like 20 minutes, you just like saw a completely different team, and they like started wiping the floor with their opponents.
I mean, the team fight's obviously really, really big in both of those games. You both mentioned that there were some close, could have gone either way situations.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
you know, let me ask you guys this. What do you feel M5 has that some of the other foreign teams don't currently have that are able to make them look dominant versus these foreign teams?
It's just like it's just a mix of, I think, a lot of individual talent, and a lot of these teams, of course, have this, but I think they've been together for the longest, ultimately. Invictus just got 3 new members of their roster very, very recently. Magnoon just built his team together, you know, Najin Sword. I think Taipei Assassins actually is like the one foreign team here that's actually had a stable roster for a long time. So, honestly, if we go by that call, and I mean, that's what we saw, right? Like, we saw the mid-game fights turn around based on Moscow 5's team fighting. That's really what it was, is their ability to team fight and play as a group. I only see a couple more teams here who have that same level of cohesion. It's Counterlogic Gaming Europe, who's been together for a year, and they beat them at DreamHack. We see, Najin Sword actually, completely being built together in about 4 months. Taipei Assassins, finally, that's another team that's finally been together for a long time. Those are their biggest competitors on a team fight front.
Rutan, in regards to Moscow 5 and IG, Moscow 5 again being the quote unquote, let's just use the term, unproven on a global stage.
Right.
Do you think after a win like that, that gives you the motivation to just kind of take it? Maybe you are unsure about how you're going to be able to perform, but then boom, you come out. Obviously, the fireworks happen.
Right.
And what do you think that means for the motivation, like going forward?
For Moscow 5 BenQ, this is huge. They really didn't come in with a super duper innovative strat. They saw that the team was doing, and they said, we can still play our staple strategy of a semi-roam, be very aggressive, deny buffs as much as possible, as you saw Diamondprox doing in the early game, and they came out on top, with flying colors. It really wasn't a challenge for them. They figured out that it was have to be mid-game every time. They kind of played that lackadaisical early game, but it just came out huge. They chose their champions, they executed at the right time, and really without having to pull out anything new, they could still have a trick up their sleeve for that finals.
Oh, yeah. Both teams did absolutely phenomenal,
Yeah.
and congratulations to M5. Thank you for moving on.
Yeah, they played really awesome. So now coming up next, guys, the Taipei Assassins face off in a best-of-3 all-or-nothing showdown with Najin Sword. We'll be back in a minute. Don't go anywhere.